The wait is over. After a grueling winter, sat around twiddling our thumbs, wondering what is the point of it all. GPVWC Superlights is back. Hello and welcome to everybody joining us on this absolutely fine occasion. As for the first race of 2024 in Superlights, we're heading down under to the Albert Park Street Circuit in Melbourne, Australia. 5.3 kilometers of fiercely tricky semi-permanent street racing with 48 laps to look forward to. And as you can see, it is raining out there as well, just to make it a bit more exciting. You join myself, Ross McIntyre, Alex Foulkes alongside me in the commentary box. Alex, we're back in 2024. The spirits are high. The drivers are getting ready to go. We are very, very excited to be back in GPVWC.
It's the first race of the season. Everyone's excited. It's always nice to see the drivers. Obviously, they'll be getting ready. The nerves will be going up. 48 laps ahead of them and a lot of points on the line. You might say 16 rounds this season is in 2024. And yeah, I'm looking quite forward to it. Like you said, semi-permanent race circuit here at Albert Park. So I think some drivers might get caught out, but hopefully not. For them, but 48 laps, anything could go wrong in that time.
It could indeed. As I said earlier, it's been a long time for us anyway, in the media team, sitting around waiting for us to get going racing again as we are transitioning over into our qualifying session. But the teams have all been very, very hard at work over the winter, putting together the new cars. Got a few new faces on the grid, a few old faces, some new teams, some rebranding of old teams. So, you know, same organisation under a different badge. As there we see one of our newer drivers, Jan Dragoon, thought about coming out of the pits there, decided against it in the Drake Racing machine. And it is still very much raining here in Australia. Wet tyres on for Dragoon as he heads out of his pit box and squirrels his way onto the circuit. And he will shortly be beginning his first laps in anger in 2024. Just a bit of information for you. Again, it is currently raining. We don't know whether the rain is going to last for the whole race, but that is very much a possibility. But if we do go onto the slick tyres, the compounds of choice that are available for the drivers today is the C4s for the softs, the C3s for the mediums, and the C2s for the hards. So running completely down the middle of the road in terms of the tyre compounds that we have to use. As I was saying, like, drivers and teams have been hard at work over the off-season. If you were unfortunate enough to miss the pre-season test, Jan Dragoon gets a little bit out of shape, coming through the brutally fast new section of the track, flat out banging against the rev limiter before the forever perilous, the forever tricky chicane at turn 11 and 12. That is going to be mayhem on the opening lap. But like I was saying before Dragoon nearly lost the back of the car and put it in the wall, teams have been very, very hard at work over the off seasons. We've got some new faces, got some old faces, new teams, old teams, but we are very, very excited to be bringing you all of the action here in Superlights in 2024. Dragoon will shortly be starting his first flying lap. We'll stick with him as he goes around. Dragoon making the jump up to Superlights this season. He's much more well-known over in the Assetto Corsa sphere, is Jan Dragoon. A very, very well-renowned driver in those parts. Over 2023, made the transition into R-Factor 2, our simulator of choice. And, well, his rise up the GPV ladder has been nothing but mesmerising. This, of course, is Superlights. If you're new to GPVWC, if you're new to sim racing, this is the second tier of the GPVWC career ladder. One step off of fighting with the best in sim racing, but don't let that fool you. This is still a very, very competitive series. Lots of fantastic drivers, and this right here is one of them. Dragoon pushing very, very hard. He'll be coming up to the sector split now. Of course, nobody's set a time yet, so it's all going to be purple sectors for Jan Dragoon. Private qualifying, of course, as well. So to us, it looks like, and to the drivers as well, it looks like they're just out on track on their own, doing a hot lap session, but of course, everybody's still running the laps in and setting times. It's essentially just put that way so you don't have to encounter any traffic or maybe get any help from some slipstream. It's all about what you can do over on one lap. Dragoon, handful of turns to go now as he comes down to the bottom end of the circuit. Does very well to avoid the curb there. You really don't want to touch that curb in the wet on the outside of the right-hander. It will not be your French Dragoon, though. Penultimate corner, probably the hardest corner on the track. Over 100 degrees of radius through there. First gear, second gear probably in these wet conditions. Onto the main straight, of course, no DRS in the wet conditions. Target time of 129.945. Dragoon goes fifth, or was fifth. He's now seventh at 131.493. He's currently Alex Laho sitting at the top of the timing sheets, as you can see how hard Dragoon is pushing. Now, Alex Laho, I think, is a driver that we should talk about a little bit, Alex. You know, he was, you know, he's fast but fragile, I think, is the term that I like to use to describe the Frenchman. He's, you know, road to Formula Racing, the reigning Superlights champions. They've, you know, they've taken a gamble on him. Sandeep Singh has, you know, decided to give him a shot. And the guy is so fast, but more often than not, he will find himself in the wall. But we were speaking to him in the pre-season test, and he said he's been doing a lot of work on his consistency. You know, his goal is to maintain that speed, but to keep it on the black stuff, and to currently be sitting on provisional pole by 0.2 of a second ahead of the Valley Esports car of Joseph Herlock as he gets a bit squirrely. That potentially is a statement of intent from him there. Yeah, but
Alex Lahu, he, let's take it back to a year. Imola last year in Formula Sprint 1. A pretty faithful race for him. Gaining, in some ways, a bit of a notoriety within the league, that's for sure, as he had an incident. I can't quite remember exactly what it was, but I do remember being in the voice chat as he went outside of the track limits, and not even in the sense that he went outside the white lines, which was quite comedic to watch. But the rain here, now, like all good plans for these teams, is going out of the window the moment you hit on track, and it's definitely throwing a spanner into the works for drivers and teams alike. You're seeing most of these drivers struggling, especially on the intermediate tires, and this is Meishe Hyla. I don't think we've seen much of him. This is True North. I don't know who they've rebranded from, but I'm fairly certain they have.
It was TCS off racing last season. So again, any TCS off fans from last year, you are now a True North fanboy. Same team, different name.
Yep, and he's looking to keep on the legacy of that team as he's struggling through turn 1 and almost drifting, you could say. But that's very much the story for many drivers here in Albert Park. This rain isn't helping anyone, and I don't suspect that these times will be going anywhere soon if this rain persists as it is. But drivers still pushing, and there you are. Some excellent saves and excellent car control from Mihaila. And we've also got, well, we saw Lahu with his excellent save coming out of the turn 9, turn 10 chicane complex, and I imagine that will be a place where a lot of drivers are going to get caught out. It's got difficult inside curbs. If you touch them, the car will become unsettled, lose a lot of downforce, and potentially lead to a spin. So it's going to be very careful in low grip conditions for these drivers to make sure they keep it outside of the wall, or if they do, make sure they can get back to the pit lane to go again. Otherwise, that will be the end of their qualifying efforts.
Absolutely. It is really tricky conditions at the moment, because not only is it right on the crossover between the intermediate and wet tyres. As we have a look at Vincent Gutt, he's looking to set his first lap time for Spark Racing Team, one of our new teams here in Superlights in 2024. He'll come to the line now. Target is a 129.945. He goes P9 with a 131.406. His teammate Jack Mayer, the reigning FS1 champion, currently in P4. A good showing from Spark so far. But again, it's not only is it right on the crossover from the intermediate to the wet tyres, you know, you can kind of get away with running either or. And also the track is very warm. Track temperature currently sitting at 41 degrees Celsius. You know, in the rain, that's going to make, you know, keeping the tyres from overheating very challenging, especially when you're going on these kind of one-lap banzai runs to try and push yourself and try and work your way up the grid. So very tricky conditions indeed, and that's why, you know, we are seeing a bit more of a larger field spread than we are used to in Superlights. You know, typically we'll be seeing, you know, the top 20 maybe covered by 2 seconds. It's currently covered by 3.5. Just goes to show The rain, it can very much make or break your day. And right now, it is making some people's day and breaking others. Should I say? Jan Skoria, good lap to get him into P6 there for TTF Racing. Sandeep Singh, the Road to Formula team boss, he's currently sat in P5. His teammate Alex Laho sits on the provisional pole at the moment. Valet Esports, though, great start to the session for them, should I say, as Dragoon looks to improve for Drake Racing, the Welsh outfit, hoping for a stronger 2024. And he'll be coming to the line now. Again, the target time of 129.945. That's the only lap time we've had in the 129 so far from Alex Laho. Dragoon does improve, but he does not move up a place. He stays P9. Yeah, good start there to the session from Valet Esports. Currently P2 and 3 with Joseph Furlock and Alessandro Maggio. To those of you maybe who aren't the biggest fan of the lower tiers of racing in GPVWC, Alessandro Maggio is definitely one to keep your eye on, and one who I predict in a few years will be fighting at the very top of the Super League. This guy, he's had a bit of experience over in FSR Academy over the last few years, over in that championship with Valet Esports as well, setting the track alight there. He came into GPVWC last season, started at the very bottom and just rapidly shot up. He gained himself the nickname the Magic Man for a reason. The guy is so fast. The Italian currently sitting P3. Great for him. Maxime Bulio now on a lap. The Canadian will be looking to improve from their previous effort, currently down in P19. Teammate Remco de Joux up in P11. Maxime had a very strong year last year in FS1. So he'll be looking to try and get a bit further up the field as he comes through the final few corners, choosing to run the intermediate tyres again. Part of the problem when you're running a private qualifying session is you can't see the other car, so you can't see what rubbers everybody is on. So it's almost a bit of a gamble. Right now, the top 5 have all set laps on the intermediates, or last time they went out was on the intermediates, as Bulio goes 15th. Jan Skoria in P6 is the first of our wet shod runners. With just under 5 minutes to go then in this qualifying session. And it is still Alex Laho sat at the top of the timing sheets as Jan Skoria gets a little bit squirrely coming through turn 2. And, the only lap time in the 129 so far. Again, this is a big statement, not just from the Frenchman, Alex, but from Road to Formula as well. I mean, they had a great season last year, romps their way to the title, to the Constructors' title, thanks to Owen McGorgy's just ridiculously dominant season. And looks like they're coming out swinging as well, currently sitting P1 and P5 in this qualifying session.
Well, it's going to be their favorite way to start a season. Being P1 and P5 is always great, and Valet too, P2 and P3. But they're suddenly struggling, and you can see the huge field spread, not just on the timing sheet, but in terms of compound choice. Got some people on the intermediates and some people on the wets. Like you said, it's right in that tricky little transition zone that it's going to be difficult to get right. And I think we're seeing the result of that, and I think also the rain has slightly increased from Lahoo's, from the conditions that Lahoo set his lap on at the start of the session. So unless we see a huge change in conditions in the last 3 minutes of the session, I think that for the most part, times are going to stay the same. And a lot of drivers also getting caught out by that turn 9-10 chicane as we watch Kurashavin. I believe he's the Ukrainian in the Alpha Sierra sim racing car, struggling on the exit there as well. But it's a clean final sector for the most part as he's heading towards the penultimate corner and round the the final corner, and it's a bit squirrely for just about everyone, sliding that rear, not very compliant. The struggling to keep it out of the inside wall, which doesn't sound very peculiar when it comes to rain racing, but that's the struggle. It's keeping it on track and keeping it within the yellow lines, I should say, for Australia, because you have to remember, it's not just about getting the fastest time, it's about keeping it in the track limits, which I imagine is going to be a bit of a struggle with the less grip that you're going to have, especially even with the wet tires in wet conditions. It's always a struggle for these drivers, and you can see how much they're fighting their own cars.
Yeah, Kurashavin was really pushing there. Laho as well, he's gone back out to try and bolster his pole time. As you said, Kurashavin, the Ukrainian, doing a good job in P9. He's a driver who's got some real-life some superb real-life experience behind him as well. A 3-time Ukrainian karting vice champion, and also the 2021 Ukrainian national sim racing champion, as Laho drops it and sends it into the wall. Should be able to bring that back into the pits for repairs, but he's not going to be able to have another go. He's going to be out of time. So Alex Laho, that's the end of his qualifying session. So it's now all eyes on the likes of Joseph Herlock, Alessandro Maggio, Jack Mayer. 2 drivers I think we wanting to improve as well. David Wasserman and Florian Gaia over for Chaos Racing, a new team this year in Superlights. Florian Gaia, of course, Sunday, that will be familiar to everybody in GPVWC, a stalwart of the Super League. He spent 10 seasons there, but after a disappointing 2023, he's decided to drop down into Superlights at the wheel of his own team and bringing a fellow countryman, David Wasserman, who we see on screen now, and just to try and reinvent himself a bit in 2024. I think he'd be hoping for a little bit better than P19 and P13 for the team at the moment. Wasserman is pushing though and is on a lap, and this will be his final flying lap. So it's going to be all or nothing. At this point, it's just pedal to the metal. See what you can do. Pray you find the grip. Everyone is out there. No one really seems to be improving too much at the moment. Wasserman does go green in sector 1. But he's 0.6 of a second down on Alex Laho as it stands. His current lap puts him 1.6 seconds away from the provisional pole time, with 38 seconds left on the clock until the checkered flag is out for the session. Of course, you do have the chance to finish your lap. If you are on a flying lap, you can go to the checkered flag, and if you improve, that still counts. What can Wasserman do though? Down in the middle sector on his personal best. The yellow split times indicates maybe a mistake somewhere, maybe just lacking in the confidence. You can see just even getting the power down in a straight line is a struggle, and Wasserman, round he goes. It won't be an improvement for the German. Loses the rear of the car coming into the final section. That's going to be his qualifying over. As it stands, he'll have to settle for P13. Stephen Lexau for Red Ven Racing. What can he do on his return to GPVWC after a year sabbatical? Great to see Stephen back in the virtual paddock as he rounds the final corner. The middle sector looked mighty. The first sector not too bad either. He could really catapult himself up the grid here as he comes to the line. What can Lexau do? Goes P10. Great lap from the Red Ven driver. 131.217. Glides him into the top 10, demotes Jan Dragoon down into P11. Korishavin, I believe, is still on a lap. It would appear he might have made it to the line, or he's just not made his way back to the pits yet. A few drivers maybe still on a lap. Jan Sikoria goes P4. Great lap there from Jan Sikoria. Switched on to the intermediates, it would appear, for the final run. And there's a leapfrogs Sandeep Singh and Jack Mayer up to P4. Alexander Agotza now for Gallery 82. What can he do? Can he improve as he comes to the line? No, he cannot. He will stay P7, a green first sector. Last sector, a big mistake there. He was 0.6 down. As Maggio goes pole. Alessandro Maggio has slid into the pole position slot at the last second by 0.2 of a second. The Valet Esports driver has snatched victory in qualifying from out of nowhere. Unbelievable from the Italian. They call him the Magic Man for a reason. That must have been a magic lap. Cedric Bill will have to settle for P22. But Alessandro Maggio, Alex, wow, talk about last chance saloon, leaving it late to get the pole. Brilliant stuff from him.
Yeah, it's that fight all the way to the end, and that's what drivers have to remember. It's not about the first lap, it's not about the second lap, it's about these last laps, and Alessandro Maggio just proving the old adage right, that to finish first you have to finish, and well, Lahu unable to get a final lap in, and maybe that cost him, but that's for him to decide. There's still a race ahead of us, 48 laps, and Paul, it means a lot, but will he hold on to that throughout the race? And with the rain, the strategies could be a little bit messed up, as teams will have researched what strategy they sort of want to do, but maybe, just maybe, it isn't working for them.
Maybe, just maybe. Let's see if we can have a look at the full results for this qualifying session before we head into the warm-up. Alessandro Maggio snatches pole at the death with a fantastic lap of 129.745. Alex Laho will line up alongside him. Joseph Herlock is P3 for Valley Esports with Jan Sakura. Another great last-minute lap into P4. Row 3 on the grid is Jack Mayer and Sandeep Singh with a Gallery 82. Row 4 locker Alexander Ragotsa leads teammate Michal Galka. The top 10 is rounded out by Vincent Gutt for Spark Racing Team and the Ukrainian driver Dominik Koroshavin for Alpha Sierra. A great lap for him to slide him into P10. That's what your top 10 looks like. Moving further down the order, Stephen Lexo, great result for him on his return to GPVWC. He finishes P11 with Yandagroon in P12. Masic Hyla was P13 for True North Motorsport with Diju 14th. David Vassman was 15th for Chaos. Alongside him was Matthews Pishkan, Thomas Kutka in 17th, and Tom Vandervoort in P18. Row 10 on the grid, made up by Maxime Bulio and Florian Gaia. Yeah, the Chaos team boss. I don't think he'll be too delighted with that. A disappointing qualifying session for him, but Florian is someone who always strives in the race and always strives in tricky conditions. Let's see what he can do. The last 4 drivers on the grid, 24 then. Pergis Miram is P21 alongside teammate Cedric Bill in 22nd. Davide Zanini is P23 and Chris Gitsov is P24. Right then, as the drivers head out for their warm-up session, we got a little treat for you. Us in the media department, we've been hard at work, mainly Ed Hunter. He's been doing all of the work, and we've compiled just a little season preview for you, just to introduce you to the teams, introduce you to the drivers. And while the guys go out for the warm-up, we're going to show you that and just get you caught up with the 2024 GPVWC Superlights season. Superlights returns for another series here in 2024, the second tier of the GPVWC career ladder. And as it was in 2023, this season is set to once again be fantastic. Road to Formula Racing. Returning for their 3rd season in Superlights are defending champions Road to Formula, who won 10 races last season and launched Owen McGorgy to a dominant driver's title. Team owner Sandeep Singh remains in the driving seat once more in his 10th year in GPV. Last year saw him take a win in Abu Dhabi along with 2 more podiums on the way to 4th in the points table. The Indian driver is incredibly consistent, rarely ever finishing outside the top 5. His teammate is Frenchman Alex Laho, who could not be more of a contrast. Laho did 4 Superlights races at the start of 2023 for Red Hour Racing, where he scored some solid points before this collision in Baku landed him in hot water. His FS1 season for TCF's Off Racing saw him take a win, 2 pole positions and 7 fastest laps on the way to 10th in the points. However, Laho developed a habit of being fast but fragile, often crashing out from podium positions. Nonetheless, his speed has never been in doubt, and RSWF signing him is a big show of confidence, one that could very well pay off. Valley Esports. The yellow Italian outfit return after missing out on 5th in last season's standings by just 2 points. This year, they've signed Englishman Joseph Herlock, who finished on the podium for Red Arrow Racing in Germany, and Canada on his way to 9th in the standings. He has a lot of bad luck and disconnections last year, which he'll be hoping won't befall him this season. Joining him is Italian Alessandro Maggio, who did 4 races for Valley last season, taking pole position in Interlagos and finishing 3 races in the points with a best of 4th in Monza. He's also competed and won for Valley in FSR Academy, a trend that Maggio aims to continue. Nicknamed the Magic Man after his prodigious progress through the GPV ladder last year, he could well be a threat for podiums and wins this season. Gallery 82 Motorsport. The plucky underdogs from Roosendaal in the Netherlands are back for their 2nd season in Superlights after placing 7th last year. Alexander Ragotsa returns to lead the team after placing 8th in the previous season. Best result for the FS1 race winner was 4th in Canada. Joining him is fellow Polish driver Michal Galka, who competed in 9 races for PZZW last season with a best result of 10th in Brazil. Will the season's results end up being framed in the Louvre Gallery, or will it instead end up being covered in soup? TTF Racing. Tyrone Frith's London-based team enters its 6th campaign in Superlights after placing 8th last season. Czech driver Jan Sikora joined the team midway through 2023 and incredibly finished all 8 of his races inside the points, the peak being a 5th in Belgium. He's been retained for this year alongside Italian Davide Zanini, who showed some solid pace in academy but only finished one of his 4 races for the team last year in a lowly 17th. Less crashes, more consistency needed for the Zanini Panini. Drake Racing. Hailing from Hirwan in Wales, Ben Willis's team has a proud history in GPV, stretching back to 2010 when they won the FS1 title. After 3 tough years, 2023 was their best season yet in Superlights as they came within 2 points of beating TTF to 8th, the highlight being Loic Moynier's podium at Suzuka. Seasoned Dutch competitor Tom van der Voort enters his 3rd season for the team, looking to improve on his 6 points finishes from both 2022 and again in 2023. Alongside him will be the Czech driver Jan Dragoon, coming off of a solid half season in FS1 for Rowan GP, in which he won the reverse grid race in Baku before taking 2 more podiums at Silverstone and then the Hungaroring. Dragoon is definitely one of the more underrated drivers on the grid and could help awaken the Welsh Dragon from its slumber. Fusion Racing. Jack Sharman's black and gold British squad started out 2023 well with 2 podiums for Liam Duval before the Dutchman's interest quickly petered out and the team fell to 10th in the points. Staying with the team is Dutch stalwart Remco de Jeu, who was in the points on 4 occasions and unfortunately retired from 8 races, including this dramatic crash at Monza last year. This season, he's joined by Canada's Maxime Beaulieu, fresh off a fantastic FS2 campaign last year for Optimal, in which he finished runner-up to champion Luke Mitchell. An incredibly determined and consistent driver, he'll be looking to add to the 5 points he scored for Fusion in Singapore and Abu Dhabi last year. PZZW Racing Team. Owned by Gallery 82's Alexander Ragocha, the PZZW team had a woeful debut in Superlights last season, placing 12th with just 16 points to their name. Canada's Purges Miron returns after 3 unspectacular, unpointsless outings for the Polish outfit last year. Joining him will be Slovakia's Denis Urban, who finished 4th in last year's VRN F1 Championship, but is a newcomer to GPV. Spark Racing Team. The first of our promoted outfits to Superlights is the German Spark team, 3rd place in FS1 last season with 4 victories. Team owner Vincent Gutt stays in the driver lineup after his immense consistency meant that he finished all but 3 races in the points in 2023, along with taking 3 podiums in the back half of the year. Joining him is England's reigning FS1 champion Jack Mayer, who took 8 wins and 17 podiums in an excellent showing in 2023 to build on his FS2 title the previous year. He also finished top 8 in the Superlights points and has taken 3 podiums already. The biggest threat? Well, he says he's not really focusing on racing this year. Do you believe him? I don't. True North Motorsport. Carter McCormick's outfit, formerly known as TCS Off Racing, now fully embraces its Canadian heritage with their new branding. Last year, they were 5th in FS1 after finishing runner-up in the season prior, and it's all change in the driver lineup. Poland's Maciej Heiler had a strong run to 9th in FS1 last year for Parallax Volpino, taking 6 podiums, 2 of them reverse grid victories. Joining him will be countryman Mateusz Pitchkan, who was 15th in the FS2 points last year and won the reverse grid race at Monza. Alpha Sierra Sim Racing. Owned by Fusion's Tom van der Voort, Alpha Sierra are the reigning FS2 champions and have decided to leapfrog up to Superlights in 2024. Leading the charge is 2021 Ukrainian sim racing champion and 3-time Ukrainian karting vice champion Dominik Koroshavin, who scored 7 points finishes for Ballas Esports last season, with the best finished of 9th in Hungary. He'll be joined by Bulgarian Chris Gitsov, a valet driver who returns to GPV after a year sabbatical. His best finish was 14th for Black Hawk Racing at Silverstone in 2022. Red Ven Racing. The 2022 FS2 champions were runners-up to Alpha Sierra last season, and the German outfit follows them up to Superlights. Team owner Steven Lexau gets back behind the wheel for the first time since finishing 4th in the points in FS2 in 2022 with 3 victories to his name. That year, he also subbed in for Super Venturi at Singapore, where he finished an impressive 7th. Slovakian Thomas Kutka will join him after showing some strong results and a win in Academy, but he lacks experience at this level and could find himself with a lot to learn. Chaos. Finally, the Superlights grid is completed by a new team to the GPV ladder, keen to add their own unique brand of mischief and mayhem. The German Chaos team is owned by lead driver and Super League race winner Florian Geyer, who enters Superlights after 10 seasons at the top level. His best year was 2016, where he was third in the points, but in 2023 he could only score 2 points for Mode Auto concept. Perhaps the time was right for him to reinvent himself in the second tier. Rounding out the field will be his countryman David Wasserman, a man with a fearsome reputation who walked on water in last year's FS2 season finale to win in Interlagos. He also has 11 starts in Superlights to his name already, with the best finish of 5th for Valle in Abu Dhabi last year. Well, lovely to see the work put in there by the GPVWC media team to get you up to speed with the drivers and teams of the 2024 Superlight season. Maybe some of them in a bit of a more fond way than others, shall we say. Alex LaHoo, I think got done a little bit dirty with all the crashes that got shown there, but he's stuck it on the front row of the grid here today. Let's quickly talk about the calendar, Alex, as we come back into the commentary box. Hello and welcome. If you are just joining us, don't worry, you've not missed any of the racing action. We are just at the end of the warm-up session. We'll be going racing shortly. You join myself, Ross McIntyre, and Alex Foulkes in the commentary box. Yeah, let's talk about the calendar. Not too much of a change from last year. Of course, we're here in Australia today for the opening race of the season. Then we're going to Saudi Arabia, we're going to Suzuka, Shanghai, Imola, Montreal, Barcelona, Red Bull Ring, Silverstone, you know, all the classics. I think the big one for me, looking towards the back end of the year, we've got the Circuit of the Americas back on the calendar. That's a big track. Very, very tricky. I'm really excited to see that one back in. Of course, we've got all the other classic races from GPV as well. You know, going Germany, Belgium, Italy, Baku, Singapore. That's always a fun one. And traditionally ending it off at Interlagos in Brazil. So not too much change in the calendar. But again, it's a long season ahead of us, as you can see, Alex. And it really goes to show a 16 race series. It's you know, it's not just about being fast on one occasion. You've got to have that consistency all across the year.
Yep, and the most interesting thing to me is the Japanese GP being brought forward to the 9th of April. So I suspect we might actually get a bit of rain in that race as well, and that could make things interesting. But yeah, a lot of interesting events ahead of us. And like you said, the US GP, the last time I remember that was when I was getting into GPVWC at the end of 2021. I tried that out first, and that's all I remember of it. And that's quite nice to see back on the calendar. But other than that, like you said, not many changes other than the order. And I think that might actually cook a nice little meal for us in the commentary, to put it nicely. And yeah, it should be quite the season ahead of us.
Let's hope so. Like you said, the first time that America is on the calendar since the back end of 2021. So great to have the Circuit of the Americas back with us. And then, of course, you know, all of the classic tracks. We're heading to Hockenheim this ring for the German Grand Prix. That's the 10th round of the calendar, should I say. I can't do maths even when it's on the screen in front of me. So yeah, heading back to Hockenheim this year. So that'll be exciting to see. And, of course, off to Monza as well for the Italian Grand Prix. Lots of classic tracks. Another big race up next, though. Of course, we're going to the Jeddah Streets, the Jeddah Corniche Street Circuit, should I say, in Saudi Arabia in 2 weeks' time on the 26th of March. That is going to be a brutal one for these drivers. Very, very fast around there, as I'm sure you're all aware. And yeah, not a lot of runoff, to put it mildly. And when you've got 24 drivers pushing it like there's no tomorrow, it could be a little bit chaotic. We will have to wait and see. Right, we are moments away then from the start of our formation lap. And hopefully we can get going racing in just a few moments' time. We are expecting, you know, well, obviously we're expecting pit stops. We're unsure what the weather is looking like it's going to do. It did actually start raining heavier while you were watching that infographic earlier. But now it seems to have backed off a little bit. Again, it's all kind of up in the air. And if it does stop raining, do the conditions get good enough for slicks? Who knows? What tire do you start on? As well as another thing, do you think it's worth it on the inters? Do you start on the wets? Because you make the wrong choice, especially, you know, if you're a front runner, you're up the front of the grid. If you start on the wrong compound of tires, that can jeopardize your entire race. Alex LaHoo was fastest in the warm-up, although we tend not to read too much into the results of that. Of course, he'll be starting second on the grid after that last minute bonsai lap from the Italian Magic Man, Alessandro Maggio. Stuck his Valet Esports car on pole by 0.2 of a second. A fantastic lap from him to take the first pole position of the season here in Albert Park in virtual Melbourne down under. Again, 48 laps of racing to look forward to, hopefully in just a few short moments' time. Of course, let us know in the live stream chat who you're here supporting, who you're going to do well. Let us know your predictions as well and what you'd like to see coming through this opening race of the 2024 Superlights season. It's going to be an interesting one. We're moments away, just waiting for the server to kick itself into life and for the drivers to make their way onto the grid. Alex, do you think, have you got any major predictions for this one coming into it, or is it still too early days, especially with the rain where it is? It could very much be that we don't really know what's going to happen this season until the checkered flag falls.
Well, for the fun of it, I want a repeat, essentially, of what happened last year in F1 for Superlights, but no. Obviously, it will be interesting to see. I can't really say too much. It's going to be a good fight between Alex Lahu and Alessandro Maggio, and hopefully another excellent Superlights race. But other than that, I don't think there's really that much to say other than there could very well be a lot of crashes here, as we've seen people struggling in qualifying and to keep it onto the track, and especially on the straights on the exit of turn, I think it's turn 6, the one that is the start of Sector 2, and a lot of drivers weren't struggling at any point through the corner, but it was more on the back straight, on that exit, getting the power down. So, I don't know. We could see a lot of drivers getting caught out, and that would be an awful place for a driver to crash. Very hard to avoid.
Yeah, turn 1 as well is going to be particularly interesting. I mean, obviously, opening corner of any racing season is always a bit tense. But in the rain, 2 medium speed corners onto a big straight where, like you said, you've got to struggle to put the power down in the conditions that we're in. Could be an interesting opening few turns. We are underway on our formation lap. The Italian Alessandro Maggio leads them away for, of course, a green flag lap. Gives the drivers a chance to warm the tyres, warm the brakes, make sure that the car's working, make sure the sim rig at home is working as well, that they've not got any issues. And then it's time to go racing shortly. Maggio, a great pole lap to steal the pole position from the death. He will start on the pole position, and alongside him, it will be Frenchman Alex Lahu. Behind them, Joseph Herlock makes it a Valet 1-3. Hopefully, he won't be able disconnecting from this particular race. Jan Sikoria with a great last-minute lap as well. Sticks it in 4th place for TTF Racing. Jack Mayer starts in 5th, the FS1 champion, doing a great job there. He puts ahead of Sandeep Singh in P6, while it's a Gallery 82, row 4. Those 2 teammates lining up alongside each other. Vincent Gutt and Dominic Korishavin, they round up the top 10. They're followed by Stephen Lexo and Jan Dragoon. A great job for the Czech driver in the Welsh drag racing car. Masej Heiler is P13 for the rebranded True North Motorsport with Remco de Jeu alongside him. David Wasserman is P15 for Chaos, and Matthews Pijkan is P16 for True North. Thomas Kutka is P17 with Tom van der Voort alongside him. Rounding out our top 20 is Maxime Bulio, and Florian Gaia is our 20th driver on the grid. 4 more to go. Those 4 are Persius Miram, Cedric Bill, Davide Zanini, and Chris Gitzoff to round out our starting order. Well then, it is crunch time, Alex. Moments away from lights out. Any words of wisdom for the drivers?
Don't crash, basically. If I could, I would be sort of mimicking Nigel Mansell in his words, but I don't think that's exactly stream appropriate. And what legendary commentary he had as the drivers lining up on the grid. I don't think anyone's going to be heating up their tires, and I don't think that's going to be a great decision, especially heading to turn 1. And traction might not be the deciding factor here in the rain.
We'll have to wait and see. Again, starting in the rain as well. Trickier than ever. It's probably quite some time since these guys have done a proper race start, given the long off-season. Looks like someone's spun at the back coming out of the final corner on the formation lap. Not sure who that is. Possibly Chris Gitsoff, who's gone round. It looked like he was turning around like he missed his pit bot or his grid slot. But no, it looks like he just spun and got it wrong. Right then, it is all eyes to the lights. It is time to go racing. In just a short moment, it'll be 5 red lights, and when they go out, it is foot to the floor. It is time to go for 2024 in GPVWC Superlights. The red lights are on. It is lights out. We are underway in Australia. A good start from Alessandro Maggio. Alex Noe gets a great start. Big wiggle in the second face of Maggio. But here comes the Valley Esports teammates, but side by side through turn 1. Shoved off the track. Laho gets the lead of the race. Coming through turn 2. He will try and bolt away in the road to Formula car. What can Maggio do? Now trying to hold off his teammate behind them. You can see the spray getting kicked up. Everybody's so blind on the run down into turn 3. Joseph Herlock was unable to make his way through his teammate. No friends out on the racetrack. It's every man for himself, especially in these opening few laps. But it will be Laho leading from Maggio, from Herlock, your top 3. Herlock really on the defensive now. He's facing stiff pressure behind from the likes of Jack Mayer and Jan Sikoria. Jack Mayer had a great start to get up into P4. The FS1 champion looking to impress on his full-time Superlights debut for Spark Racing, who of course made the jump up to Superlights this year as well, finishing 3rd place in FS1 Teams Championship last year through the ever tricky chicane, bouncing their way over the curbs. It looks like we've managed to hold it pretty clean for the most part. Oh, I say that. 4 DNFs actually all down the back. That's Bill, Zanini, Gitsov, and Yandragoon. Yandragoon out of the race as well on the opening lap. A big shame for him. He was looking very competitive in qualifying. Then there were 20. We're going to carry on anyway. We might be able to grab a replay of that a lot later on, because right now we're focusing on all of the action. It will be Laho that leads the first lap from Alessandro Maggio. Teammate Joseph Herlock rounds out the podium places with Jack Mayer and Jan Sikoria, P4 and P5. Alexander Ragota, great start for him to get up into P6. His teammate Michel Galka's had an absolute nightmare, dropping down into P18. Looks like Ragota's going to have to hold his own in the gallery. 82 time! Oh, Ragota hard into the wall. If he's able to keep going, I am stunned. That was a huge, huge hit into the outside wall. There's got to be a lot of significant damage to that car. You can see he's lost the front wing. You can see he's limping. Surely the suspension is bent beyond belief. And that is not what you want to see. And now you've got, Alex, you've got drivers holding each other up behind him as well. This is really dangerous.
Yeah, and we're heading to a more dangerous part of the track. We might actually see an instant here as he's on the steering. Hopefully, the other drivers are cautious to his rejoin. But yeah, I think Maxime Beaulieu at the back there had damage, front wing damage. He pits in. That's not the great start to a race that most people would be hoping for. But we are still seeing passes as the battle ahead of the cars we're currently watching. Here we are. Messi Hyla and Steven Lexo as he's onto the grass, and that battle swiftly put to an end. But Remco Deju looking to capitalize, but also David Wassman getting straight into the fight down the inside of Remco Deju. But Deju not giving up so easily, and I think there was a slight bit of contact there, but nothing significant. And now that's
they touch!
Oh, no.
They touch! Remco Deju, should I say? Oh! Collecting that, I believe, was Michel Galka. It was indeed. And the 2 Gallery 82 cars in the space of a lap. It has all fallen apart for them. Maxime Beaulieu is into the pits. Deju will surely be in behind. Ragota has come in, as will Gal. Oh, and that is Maxime Beaulieu, who's managed to, looks like, haul the thing back in with 3 wheels on the wagon, which is rather impressive, it must be said. If they can get the repairs for that thing and get it back out, fair play. That's why they're down in P20. We didn't catch what happened, but as you can clearly see, issues there for the Fusion Racing guys. And oh god, that has got to be a disheartening image for any fans of Gallery 82 or Fusion Racing. Both cars into the pits, and looks like Maxime Beaulieu's leaving with 3 wheels.
Yeah, I was quite confused with that. Is this on our end?
Yes, it is on our end. The wheel is magically spawned back into life. I was going to say, I personally, if I had 3 wheels, wouldn't be pulling back out onto an active racetrack. But, you know, if Maxime's got the confidence, but no, 4 wheels back on the wagon, car fully repaired. but it's going to be a long old race for Maxime Bueller, a long old race for all of the Gallery 82 and Fusion guys. A big shame for them, all coming to blows on lap number 2. But still, it's a long race ahead. They can, you know, just get their heads down and try and keep it on the black stuff and try and do what they can do. Joseph Herlock, meanwhile, has caught right up to the back of his teammate Alessandro Maggio, as Alex Laho has extended the gap to 1.4 seconds it is at the line. I wonder, I doubt we're going to get team orders at this point, as Herlock gets all sorts of sideways coming through turn 1. Yeah, I doubt we're going to get any team orders at this point of the season. You know, Herlock and Maggio, 2 drivers who have risen through the Valley Esports rank, both very highly valued within the Italian mark. And, you know, again, it's early doors in the season. They're both very fast. I don't think there's really going to be a number 1 driver at this stage. So it really is, may the best man win out there on track. Right now, Herlock appears to have the pace, but he's also struggling for traction, struggling for grip a little bit. So the gap fluctuating here and there. I mean, you saw just half a lap ago, he was right at the backside of his teammate. And after a few big wiggles, he's dropped back to around 8/10 behind. And Maggio has also actually turned the wick up a little bit as well. He started to close into Alex Laho. The gap now at around about a second, it would appear. So, you know, it's not over yet. Laho, you know, I'm sure at this point he's just keeping an eye on his mirrors and trying to hit his marks. You know, it would be the dream debut with Road to Formula to take the victory for Alex Laho. Again, a driver who has so much potential and so clearly so much pace, but last year just, you know, struggled to keep it on the tarmac a lot of the time. When we spoke to him during the pre-season test, he said the one thing he's been working on is just consistency. He's been doing race run after race run after race run, just working on keeping on the track and hitting his marks every single time. Right now, that appears to be paying off. He leads by 1.5 seconds on lap 5 here of the opening race of the GPVWC Superlights season in 2024 here at the Albert Park Street Circuit. And there is your race leader, as I mentioned that. Now, let's have a look through the tyres quickly. Of course, you know, it was everyone was debating what tyre to start on. Laho is on the intermediates. As you see, Alessandro Maggio, though, is on the wet compound of rubber. Most of the drivers sticking with the inters, but of course, Maggio, the sole outlier, alongside Steven Lexo in the top 10. We also have Kutka on the wets, and Remco de Joux has came in, and it would appear he changed his inters for wets at that stop that he had to take for the damage after colliding with Michel Gauka. So, it appeared that intermediates are the better tyre to be on at the moment, but Maggio's still doing a decent enough effort on the wets. He's now facing some big pressure from his teammate Joseph Herlock, so maybe the track just starting to dry up a little bit. Interesting to see Valley Esports splitting their strategies as well. That could have been driver preference. That could have been, we're going to throw one of you out on the wet compound, we're going to go throw one of you out on the intermediate compound and see what sticks. We won't know until the post-race interviews, I suppose. But right now, it's Maggio leading Herlock in this teammate battle for the second podium position as we head on to lap 6 of 48 here in Albert Park. Jack Mayer currently P4, followed by Jan Sakura rounding out your top 5. You could just about see them in the spray. New best lap time there from Alex Laho, 1:34.061, starting to find his confidence. Maybe the car starting to come to him a little bit. But in these conditions, Alex, it is all about confidence at the end of the day. You can have the fastest car on a wet circuit, but if you don't have that belief in your own abilities, you know, there's no point in even going out on track because you are just going to struggle.
Yeah, rain, the great equalizer of motorsports. And yeah, the drivers have to be confident in their car and their own ability. And I think we're seeing a few mistakes as a result of not having confidence in the car or in their ability to keep it on the road. But what this is really showing is an excellent display of car control as we see Karashavan going sideways. And hold on, that's a new best lap time for Agoza. And where's that come from?
I mean, he did stop for some fresh rubber, I suppose, didn't he? And he's got clear track as well, given his pit stop. So maybe he's just, you know, getting his head down and trying to put some lap times in. Great lap time, though, from Alexander Agoza. Absolutely.
And I suspect the message for the Valley guys as well is just going to be calm it down. Just get through the race for now, and we'll fight Lahu later on. Once the track has either dried up or got more wet, then we can make our strategy decision, and then we can fight. And that very much seems to be the case. The gap maintaining between the two Valley cars, as I say that, It's dropping quite significantly by Herlock now. But this is the battle for P7. Message, Hyla, Kershavin, and Vincent Gut all close together, heading through the final corner. No DRS, and that's an excellent save. But that's going to take him right off the back of Kershavin. So now that battle is sort of fading away. But you can see the spray. Hitting your marks must be quite difficult, let alone with the rain, but also with the spray. And yeah, you can see how the drivers are just having to nurse these cars around. And I think that's going to be how it's going to be for the most of the race, because it's not worth it to risk it. It's race one. And yeah, there's no point putting it in a wall right now.
Absolutely. I was speaking with Vincent Gut earlier today, the team boss over at Spark Racing, and very much a beloved member, of the GPVWC hierarchy, as Hyla makes a great save there. And he was just saying, he had a funny little stat for me that this is his 6th Superlights race that he has done across the last few years. And 5 of those, this one included, it has rained. So Vincent Gut, if you fancy a bit of wet weather, get Vincent Gut out on track, I suppose, as we see him there at the moment doing a great job. He also said he hates the rain, but currently running P7. I'd be careful what you wish for, Vincent, because you are running very, very well at the moment, my friend. I think the track is definitely dried up to the point where intermediates are the tire to be on. Right now you can see, well, Herlock has got through Maggio, actually, in the previous lap. There's now a yellow flag out somewhere in Sector 3. Hopefully everybody is okay. But yeah, Joseph Herlock has got through his teammate Alessandro Maggio. Maggio, of course, is currently on the wet compound of rubber. And, he's really starting to pull away from Maggio is Herlock. So right now, the intermediate is the tyre to be on. That is not what Maggio needs. Because, the drier the track gets, the more like chance you're going to overheat those wets. And of course, you're going to have less grip anyway, because you've not got enough rubber down on the road because there's too much tread pattern, but also you're overheating them. When you consider the high track temperatures that we got here today, currently resting at about 40 degrees, he's going to be chewing through those tyres if he's not careful. And we'll really be hoping for the rain to come back down. It's a lot easier to drive on intermediates in the wet than it is to drive on the wets in intermediate conditions, in practice. Because although, inters in wet, you're not going to have a lot of grip. Wets on inters, your tyres are going to fall apart very, very fast. So Maggio will be praying for some rain. Over the previous lap, he's dropped almost a second back from his teammate on the intermediate compound of rubber. So, yeah, it would appear that the wet tyre, while it was running well early doors, is now not running at all. And to make matters worse, he's just run off the track a little bit as well. And Jack Mayer, the FS1 champion, I think he's maybe starting to smell blood a little bit, because the Spark Racing driver is closing in. The Englishman can see the Italian through the spray with 40 laps to go. Maggio, I think, is potentially facing some major, major trouble if the weather does not go his way. I mean, if we continue like this as well, it's also possible we could end up on slicks at the end. And if we end up on slicks at the end, or someone wants to gamble on slicks, obviously it's nowhere near slick conditions now. We simply don't know what's going to happen with the weather. We're not too sure on what the tyre is going to be like as well. Again, this is the first racing that we've had, on these tyres. And so we don't really know what the strategies are going to be like. We don't really know how they're going to behave across a race, especially the wet, where we're much less likely to have wet running. So it's all a bit of guesswork in the opening race of the season. Maggio, though, really struggling. He's dropped another second back from his teammate, and the gap now at 3.4 seconds. And Joseph Herlock is fading off into the distance. Jack Mayer not exactly catching the Italian, though, at the moment. The Englishman is on the intermediate. Last lap was not particularly strong. I believe he made a mistake somewhere. And looks like he may have made another mistake there as well, because he's just dropped back by another couple of tenths or so. So Jack Mayer, maybe not maximising his ability that we know that he has. Maybe he's just trying to protect his tyres and try and take this stint for as long as he can. Again, keeping one eye on the racetrack, another eye on the clouds above, and seeing what the racing gods are going to throw at us here down under. We'll have to wait and see. Maggio is going to carry on going. No, Maggio's in, I think. Was that Maggio in? Yeah, it is. Alessandro Maggio's boxed. He's made the call. Alessandro Maggio will be in for a pair of intermediate tyres. the wet gamble did not work, unfortunately. Well, it worked until it stopped raining so hard, and that is a real shame for your pole sitter, who drops down to, it will be outside the top 10, I believe. That is a real shame for him, and he's got a long race ahead of him, but he's still got, 38 odd laps, so it's not the end of the day. And we know that Maggio has a lot of pace, and we know what he can do on the track, but to go from, pole position down to P11 because you're on the wrong tyre, that is not exactly how you want to start your season.
Yeah, and the fight now between David Wasserman and Steven Lexo, it was heating up before we cut to Maggio going into the pit lane, and also in the meantime, Remco de Giu retiring from the race. A sensible decision, probably, just to save the engine, as I feel like he probably doesn't want the experience to go on much longer, perhaps a bit hopeless. But yeah, this is the fight now for P9, and Maggio on those fresher tyres, going up against a car in front of him on the wet tyres, and that's a risky place to go for a move in the wet. Is he going to make it stick? Almost, but he should maybe get it onto the next corner here, but he's certainly struggling to get up through the ranks, but not anymore. He's past Steven Lexo, and that's the end of that battle. But that might just put Lexo in the hands of Mateusz Piszkan, and this could be Piszkan's opportunity to get up into the points if he's careful with it in that True North Motorsport car.
Yeah, absolutely. Piszkan would love to get into the points-paying positions, and he's looking very feisty at the moment. Steven Lexo, though, again, a great driver he is, who's been around GPV for a long time, and it's great to see him back as well here. First time that he's been in GPVWC since 2022 and the FS2 Championship, where he took a few wins that year, and also did have a, he had a few races in Superlights that season as well, subbed in for Super Venturi a couple of times and had a great run. Last year, though, was a sabbatical for Steven, and he's decided that it's now time to come back in. He's not doing a Mickey Hakkinen, he's not saying I'm on a sabbatical and never returning. Steven is back and is fighting, but right now he's on the defensive and trying to hold off Steven Lexo. Make sure that you keep your messages coming in on the live stream chat. Make sure you keep your messages coming in on social media as well, using the hashtag GPVWC or hashtag SL2. It'll be great to hear your thoughts and great to see how you're enjoying this opening race of the season. It's been, well, chaotic to say the least, though, the opening 11 laps with the rain falling, and it's potentially going to get even more chaotic because Joseph Hurlock in the Valley Esports car is starting to lay down the gauntlet. That's 3 laps in a row now where he has lapped a 10.5 to 2 tenths faster than race leader Alex Lahoe, the Valley Esports man. Well, if it was dry, he's within DRS range. They've got some lap traffic there. That looks like Maxime Bulio. Unfortunately, we have lost Remco de Giu, their teammate. Of course, the gallery or the Fusion Racing guys had a bit of a disastrous opening few laps. Unfortunately for them, Remco did come in and enter the pits, but clearly came out and had another incident or decided it wasn't worth it and wanted to save himself and save the car. He is out of the race. 19 drivers remaining here in Australia after only 12 laps. And as I said, another yellow flag out as well. Hopefully everybody is okay. It has gone as quickly as it arrives. Now, Joseph Hurlock, sorry about that, Alex. Just saying, he's really got the pace on at the moment. Right now, out of these lead 2 drivers, he's the one that you potentially be putting your money on.
Yeah, he's got the fight in him, and he's going to be after Alex Lahoe potentially to the end. And this battle could not just be on track. It could be the strategy of switching to either slick tires later on in the race, taking a gamble, or just holding out for as long as you can and then switching onto the intermediates once again on a fresh set and taking the battle to the end. And I imagine these 2 drivers in their head right now is it's longevity. There's still 36 laps left in this race, and as much as you might want to take the battle now, the battle can always be taken in other places. But Hurlock, yeah, he's catching slowly but surely, and that's the best kind of progress you can have in a race.
Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see how it's all going to unfold. But of course, given today was the start of the Cheltenham Horse Racing Festival, who are you backing with your dollar? We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen over the remaining laps in this race. Here is Maciej Heiler having a look to the inside of Vincent Gutt. didn't go for it in the end, but definitely filling the mirrors of the German, and now definitely having a look. Oh no! What a save! Maciej Tyler, that true North car, was destined for the barrier, but somehow Hyler intervened and kept it on the tarmac. That is brilliant car control from the True North driver. Gotta be save of the day so far, my goodness me. And he's not even lost that much time as well to the guys in front. Of course, you know, chasing down Vincent Gutt on the moment, who's chasing down Koroshaven, who's had a great race so far. Very quietly slid his way up into P6. Much as well, none of us were noticing. So great stuff from the Ukrainian. And Vincent Gutt maybe facing pressure once again. Maciej Tyler trying to cut his way through the spray. You can see, ever so slightly, there is a little bit of a dry line beginning to form. Not too much, and it is still raining. And there is, of course, the odd puddle here and there as well, which you can very clearly see. But there is just that area of the tarmac, which is a slightly different colour from everywhere else. There is starting to be a dry line. That's where the grip is going to be. And that's where everyone is going to be trying to stick. So this is where overtaking becomes very, very hard. Once there's more grip on that dry line, you know, R-Factor 2, the wet weather simulation isn't quite completely true to life. You know, you don't necessarily have to take a wet line, so you can just stick on the dry line for the most of the time, and that's what everyone's going to be trying to do. Here goes Hyler though to the inside, down into turn one on Vincent Gutt. That is page one of the textbook, easy as I like, on the brakes down into turn one, but Gutt got a great exit from turn two. Can he try and fight back maybe down into turn three with a dive bomb? We've all done this at some point on a Formula 1 game. But Vincent Gutt decides to hold his formation for the time being and stay behind the True North driver. Maciej Tyler up to 7th. What a crazy few laps he's had, Alex.
Oh, it's all about that consistency, and that's exactly what Hyler has had. He's on the back of Gutt consistently, and he's finally been able to make that move, and now his eyes will be set ahead to Koroshaven. But yeah, like you said, a lot of candidates for best save of the year already, fortunately, due to the rain. As we cut to the battle between Sandeep Singh and Jan Sikora, TTF Racing and Road to Formula. This is Alex Lahou's teammates, and speaking of Alex Lahou, Joseph Herlock has dropped off the back of him, but this battle is very much alive, and Singh probably hoping to get up into those podium places by the end of the race, but he better get past Sikora if he wants any chance of that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to wait and see how it's all going to unfold. Sandeep Singh, again, another veteran of the GPVWC parts, and a man who was very, very helpful, shall we say, in me getting on my way to 3rd place in the pub quiz at the GPVWC day at the back end of last year, which I think he ended up winning or coming 2nd in. So, you know, I'm definitely not angry that he beat me, but, you know, a great driver, a great team owner as well, and, you know, someone who's very active within the communities he's chasing down Scoria. He, when we spoke to him at the pre-season test a few weeks back, you know, he said his goal for this season, you know, obviously as the team owner of Road to Formula Racing, you know, he wants the team to do the best, and you know, that's why he's willing to put, you know, drivers who are, you know, absolutely fantastic in the opposite car, while many team owners would maybe think for themselves and have themselves as the number 1 driver. Sandeep is not afraid to step back and be in the number 2 role, but he said this year he wants to get his head down, wants to get a few race wins, maybe wants to potentially challenge for the title. Right now, it's going okay. Of course, his teammate currently leading, but he's currently in P5, qualied in P6 with a good qualifying, chasing down Jan Scoria as well. So he is doing a great job at the moment, is Mr. Singh. But just seemingly can't find a way past the TTF driver in front as it stands. Sikoria doing a spectacular job to hold on to that P4 position, just putting the car exactly where it needs to be on the road to prevent the attacks from behind. So we're having a few flags out in yellow too.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it looks like Pitchcan and Purges Miram as well. So it looks like we've got, and Hyler as well.
True North.
Whoa.
All out.
What's happened? Yeah, something's gone very, very wrong. Hopefully we could get some replays of those in a few moments, if that is possible. But yeah, True North Motorsport, a double DNF in the space of half a lap, using Purges Miram as well. Maciej Hyler, who's having a fantastic day. Well, let's see what happened. So There is Hyler. Was it did they collect each other, or was it separate incidents? I don't know. There's Hyler.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
That is so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. Just clipped the grass, and a slight twitch in temperament from the car, and sent him cannoning into the inside wall. That is such a shame for Masic Hyler, who is one of the real stars of today, but just goes to show that when you're on the limit, as these guys are, and especially when it's raining, just goes to show how absolutely brutal it can be. Here's a Matthew's Pidge cam. Let's see what happened here. Coming down into turn 1. Oh, disconnect. Oh, that is devastating for True North. That is heartbreaking for those guys. Oh, I'm almost lost for words. That is, yeah, that's really disappointing for them. That is not the way you want your season to start. You know, a little mistake and a disconnect is all it takes to, you know, go from having a great day to end up with nothing. Of course, you know, they'll get back on their horses. They'll keep fighting. No. That is Maggio into the wall. A light kiss of the barrier from the front left. Just a glancing blow. Looks like he's okay. I think he just hit the brakes a little bit too late. Got it all locked up on all four corners of the car and was lucky not to hit, I believe it was Koroshavin or Vincent Gutt in front who he was chasing down. He's not going to come into the pit, so clearly car's okay. Looks okay from the outside. I think it's starting to get to that point where the conditions are starting to really get to the drivers. You know, the conditions aren't terrible. We're now starting to run out of tyres a little bit, I think. As that's Koroshavin who's come into the pits on that last lap. The Ukrainian comes in for his first stop. So I think it is just kind of hit that time, Alex. As we see Stephen Lexau in as well. They're both going on another set of intermediates, should I say. I think it's just got to that point where, oh, it's actually, Lexau comes out on the wets. Okay. I mean, unless the rain's increased, which it doesn't look like it has, I don't know, maybe Stephen Lexau knows something that we don't, but it looks like the rain hasn't increased too much. I was just thinking drivers were starting to run out of tyres as Sandeep Singh is now really starting to launch an attack on Jan Sikoria as they head through the treacherous turn 11 and turn 10 and 11 now it is. On the run down into the back end of the circuit, getting very, very close, almost trading paint front nose to gearbox as they head through there. Now into the penultimate corner we go. Sikoria does have the advantage in this battle at the moment, doing a fantastic job holding off Sandeep Singh, but does dive into the pit. So I think the drivers are just running out of tyres at this stage. Again, we're not really sure what the tyre life is like, you know, on these intermediates and softs. Lap 18, Jan Sikoria decides it's time to come in. I assume he'll be in for another set of intermediates as well, unless he gets on the wet, which it looks like he's not doing. So no, that was just Stephen Lexau's decision to go into the wets, maybe trying a bit of a gamble, seeing if the rain increases. I think it is just that time where the first stint's coming to an end. It's time to, you know, come in for a fresh set of boots and see how you go.
That was close between Maggio and Wasserman. Maggio almost lost it on the inside, but this battle is going to go into turn 3. Oh, pardon me. I've got a bit of an issue with my audio, but I am sorry about that. Yeah, Maggio passed Wasserman, and that's going to be perfect for him. And after that mistake, I think he's going to be a bit shook up, but hopefully he'll get back to it. 5 seconds lost to Vincent Gutt. He's going to have to make that position back up if he wants to start fighting Singh for the podium places. And Mayer, Herlock, Lahu yet to pit at the front. Hopefully, we'll be seeing them come in soon. But I also think Maggio, not running out of tyres, just running out of confidence in a little way when he was trying to go out around the outside of Koroshavin. But yeah, he's certainly struggling now. Maybe he cooked his tyres a little bit when he locked them up heading into this turn here. I think this is turn 11. And yeah, hopefully he's not struggling as much as the others are on their tyres.
Just a little bit of information come to my attention. Looks like the reason Stephen Lexau was on the wet compound, he's having a glitch in the game. He started on the wets, and for whatever reason, R-Factor 2, our beloved simulator of choice that has no problems and is a completely flawless simulator and is excellent in every way, shape and form. He's having an issue where he can't change tyre compound in the pits. So unfortunately for Stephen, he's just going to have to stick with the wet compound till the end of the race. Thank you to, I believe, That came from, yeah, it was Yassi Latinant, who's in a call with Stephen for that information. So thank you very much for that, Yassi. And again, of course, if you guys do have any information watching along, again, many of you watching along, you know, you may just be a casual fan, but many of you are also, you know, drivers within GPVWC or team owners or engineers and the like. If you have any information or, you know, maybe know something we don't be afraid to put it in the live stream channel. Of course, you can drop myself or Alex a message on Discord as well. Our DMs are always open. We don't bite. It's really appreciated when you do tell us these things, you know, because it, you know, allows us to do a better broadcast for you as well, because it allows us to understand more of what's going on. And of course, if you are watching along, if this is your first time watching GPVWC, as Jan Sikoria, having a look on David Vassman here, oh, this could be a very, very tasty overtake. Jan Sikoria, wow. Got it done for the braking zone. I think David Vassman backed out a little bit. Of course, Sikoria on the fresh rubber. But yeah, that was a great move. But as I was saying, if you are new to GPVWC, if this is your first time watching us, hello and welcome. It's been a pleasure to bring you all of the action from the opening round of the GPVWC Superlights series. So far, myself and Alex, you know, we welcome you and we thank you for joining us. And if you go to the description of the live stream, you can, you know, find links to the website at gpvwc.com. You can also sign up to the Discord, which is where a lot of the admin is run and where everyone likes to hang out and complain about everyone's driving post-race. But yeah, and of course, you know, that's always how you can get involved. If you fancy picking up sim racing or, you know, you've got some friends who would be interested, of course, please let them know. We've got 5 tiers of racing from the Super League down to Academy, so there's plenty of action and always somewhere for people to slot in. As Vasserman now does come in for a fresh set of tyres, he'll drop down, should manage to hold on to P9, and he will. Kutka is a bit too far behind coming through turn 1, so Vasserman for Chaos will hold on to that P10. Pishkan, I believe Pishkan has DNF'd, but he's saying that he's in the pits for some reason, so he may just be spectating he may have rejoined the server and be spectating the race, but as far as we're aware, he is down and out. Of course, we've lost a fair few drivers. Chris Kitsov, Janjgoon, Davide Zanini, and Bill, we all lost on the opening lap. And then, of course, we've also lost Remco de Joux, Purgis Miram, Pishkan, Heiler, and Maxim Bulow is a lap down after the incident early doors. We're not far off of halfway through the race now. And the rain is still coming down here in Australia. So still causing problems for the drivers. And oh, there is Matthews Pishkan actually. Oh no, I tell you why he's rejoined. It's because he had a disconnect, didn't he? That's a regulation that I always forget about because it never used to be the case back in the day. It used to be that if you had a disconnect, you were down and out. Nowadays in GPVWC, if you do have an internet disconnection, you are allowed to rejoin the race. That is not an instant DNF. That is a fairly newer regulation that I always forget about. So great to see that Matthews Pishkan has managed to get on top of his issue and get back out onto the track. He is 3 laps down now. But again, still a long way to go in this race. Anything can happen. And talking about anything can happen, Joseph Herlock is now within a second of Alex Laho in front. Now, I believe these two guys are yet to pit. So we are still some way, still some way to go. These two guys, I think at this point, Alex, they're pretty happy sitting there. It's just about who bites the bullet first, who comes in for the box first.
Well, you'd be thinking that it's going to be Herlock that's going to make the call, but he might also be saying, okay, I'm going to do what Alex Laho doesn't. But yeah, at this point, strategy will be playing a large role, and Herlock maybe might go for the undercut, maybe get the better grip for a couple of laps and stay ahead. But Alex Laho, no easy target, especially when you're attacking him, but also when he's attacking you. He's definitely not going to give up the fight, and even if Herlock gets close, it's going to be a close fight, and I think it might just end in the pit lane at this point. But yeah, for the most part, not that many battles. We've got Ragoza at the back, fighting with Thomas Kutka for P10. I imagine that could be an interesting fight, as we've got the slipstream, but no DRS obviously because we're in the rain. But yeah, this could be a battle that goes to turn 1 and beyond. Redfern and Gallery 82, as we've got a yellow in sector 1. Is anyone dropping back? Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, maybe someone just running off track a little bit. Yeah, but it looks like everyone's okay. We've not lost anybody since Hyla had that accident in the middle sector. So everyone holding on for the time being as Rigoza on what is, fortunately for him, a recovery drive after those early incidents. After a great qualifying, slowly fighting his way back through the field. Currently P11 looking to slide his way past Thomas Kutka and into the top 10. Which, Rigoza, he's a driver that, he knows his ability. He knows the team's ability. He's been with Gallery 82 for quite some time now. He's a driver that wants to be consistently in the points every single race. He's not necessarily going to be fighting for wins or podiums every single race, but where Rigoza is really strong is his consistency. He's always there, in the points, and it always helps him, in the championship table come the end of the season, and shows what a quality driver he really, really is. Lap 23 of 48, then not far off of half distance. It has been a scintillating race so far here in Albert Park, and we have still got plenty more action to go. As we were saying earlier, it is, it's very much all eyes on Laho and Herlock at the moment at the front of the field. Who bites the bullet first? Now, Alex, you said there could potentially be a box opposite order for the Valley Esports driver. It could be, do whatever Alex Laho doesn't do. If he comes into the pits, you stay out. If he stays out, you come into the pits. But we are approaching half distance. And at the moment, they seem very, very happy to be running the tyres, and they're trading blows as well. One lap Laho's faster and the gap extends, then Herlock is faster and the gap decreases. It's the 7 years war all down under on a racetrack. You've got the tenacity of the Frenchman, the stoicness of the Englishman, who is going to come out on top in this one. Only time will tell. Around the penultimate corner. Anybody fancy diving into the pits on this lap? No, they do not. We're going for another tour, baby. Alex Laho will lead the way onto our halfway mark as he crosses the line. And once again, Joseph Herlock was faster on that lap. He was 2/10 quicker that last time around. And the gap now down to around half a second, but still fluctuating. Laho is looking very, very strong on the corner exits. Herlock looking very, very strong on the way into corners, which, it just shows their different driving styles, I suppose, which is great to see that on display. But it just makes it very frustrating when you think the gap's going down into a corner and then suddenly it explodes. As I've just accidentally knocked my microphone over, I'm getting so excited over this battle. But as we go then halfway point in the race, Joseph Herlock, you've got to think at this point, Alex, that maybe the power is in his hands a little bit. He seemingly has a bit more pace at this moment. He's the one who's been ever so slightly faster over the last few laps, even if the gap has relatively stayed the same in the grand scheme of things. But again, he's the one filling the mirrors of the driver in front. He's the one who probably has the advantage on, he can call when he wants to come into the pits. He's the one putting pressure on the race leader. And, Valley Esports as well, a very strong team. Alex Laho is, doing it solo at the moment. Sandeep Singh is about to be under pressure. Well, not maybe about, but will at some point be under pressure from the pole sitter Alessandro Maggio. So, it'll be Road to Formula versus Valley everywhere you look. But Joseph Herlock, for me at this point, it is advantage Joseph Herlock. And as I say that, Alex, into the pits we go.
Yep, that was the key. He held the key for the pit lane, and now that's going to force Lahu to react if he so pleases. But you would expect him to, as Herlock is going to have probably a clean gap in between Sakura and Maggio, in that slot at 5th and 6th. Or he's going to come out in head of Sandeep Singh. So that's going to be convenient for him. He's going to have a nice bit of clean air in front of him where he's going to be able to catch up to Lahu, unless Sandeep Singh has other plans and is going to try and attack Joseph Herlock.
Yeah, I mean, Sandeep obviously aware that if he can put the pressure on Herlock now, that eases the pressure on his teammate Alex Laho, because these guys, it's Herlock versus Laho for the race lead. Singh can really, help his teammate out here if he gets close enough and put some pressure on and, fulfill the ultimate destiny of Team Boss by helping his teammate win. But, on the fresh rubber and given Herlock's pace all day, I don't think Singh is going to be launching too much of a challenge. We should be seeing the race leader boxing in the next few laps then. If not in this lap, you know, I presume it's within the next few laps. He may be trying to run a longer first stint so that, you know, he can have a shorter second stint, push the tyres a little bit harder later into the race, which is also easier when there's less fuel on board, the car's less heavy. So you are able just to use and abuse the rubber a little bit more, you know, coming through the corners. And as I say that, there we go, race leader in. Okay, time for the battle of the virtual pit crews then. Joseph Hurlock. It will be Jack Mayer inheriting the lead. But Joseph Hurlock, is he close enough? Does the undercut work? Does Laho get out in front? I believe Mayer's come in as well on the same lap. Who's going to come out first? Hurlock is on the main straight. We keep our eyes peeled for Laho. I believe Alex Laho is going to maintain the lead. Down into turn one. Hurlock was close, but not close enough. A real shame for him. Alex Laho, though, great pit stop from the Rotor Formula crew, and it keeps him in the lead of the race as well. Lap 26 of 48. I believe, Alex, it's going to be these two all the way to the end.
Yeah, but Hurlock, he's going to be in his rhythm. He's already had a lap on these fresh tyres, so unless Laho gets on these tyres, gets them up to temperature, gets himself up to temperature after coming into the pit lane, you know, it's a mental reset. So now it's just up to Hurlock to make sure he keeps on that pressure for the rest of the race, and I doubt we'll see another pit stop, but if we do, it will be for the dry tyres, and that one could very well be instrumental. And I don't know if it is, with the rain seems to be easing up a little, so as we progress further on into the race, it might be instrumental, and Hurlock still leaving pressure onto Laho, but Laho sort of getting a bit of a cushion now for him, bit of comfort, but you can never be comfortable in the lead of a Superlights race.
No, you can never be comfortable in a GPV race, can you? It's, yeah, always pressure everywhere you look, and especially in the current conditions. As the Australian national anthem goes, the land may be girt by sea, but there is water everywhere you look here in Melbourne at the moment. Although it's easing off, the heavens very much open here, pouring down, and despite that, the virtual crowds don't seem to have any umbrellas out, so the natives are clearly embracing the rain. I don't think they get much of it around these parts, given the climate of Australia. But Hurlock still putting the pressure on, though. These two on fresh rubber, as we said, looking like we're going to go to the end unless it does dry up, but we really don't know what the rain is going to do. You know, it is possible that the rain eases up, and maybe for the last few laps, it's one of those things where, you know, you could box for slick tyres as Hurlock gets a little bit out of shape coming through the hairpin there. But again, it's also one of the things that, would you be willing to box for slick tyres? You know, how close to the end of the race can the intermediate survive? How, you know, how much faster are the slicks? Is it worth, you know, having an extra pit stop? You know, all of these things, you've got to, you know, account for every single thing in a sim race. It's a tricky esport to get into, and you know, of course, in Superlights, you know, all of these guys, they'll be on a voice call with their teammates and engineers and team bosses and stuff, and all the time, you know, and of course they'll have you know, applications like crew chief on the PC telling them things as well, and all the time they're discussing things. What's the weather doing? How's the car feeling? What's my rubber like? What do we do next? What's this person doing? You know, racing, most of it isn't done on the track. Most of it is done mentally, trying to figure out what you're going to do next. And, well, we'll have to wait and see what is going to happen next. Starting lap 28, Laho continues to lead. The gap between himself and Hurlock maintains the same. Jack Mayer 13 seconds behind in P3, but Alessandro Maggio is coming, it must be said. Look at Maggio, he's absolutely flying at the moment. But there is the battle for the lead as it stands. That last lap, Hurlock ever so slightly slower. The gap, though, sticks at 0.7 of a second. Actually, a really good exit out of the second corner there. Allows it to close up just a little bit for Joseph Hurlock. He was looked a little bit throttle happy coming through this section of the track over the course of today. It must be said, we've seen him getting a little bit of a power slide on a few times. That time it was all clean. But, you know, maybe the Valley Esports driver, maybe that's something we need to think about as well. Just watching the rear tyres going on. Of course, he did box first. And while that may have been a strategic decision, it could also have been I can't go on any longer. Maybe Laho was happy with his tyres and only boxed to respond. At the end of the day, we currently don't really know, because that information is not available to us. It's all in the driver's heads. So, who are we to tell? As the laps tick by, it has been a fantastic race so far. We've had a fair few DNFs. But as the saying goes, that is racing. Motorsport is a cruel, cruel mistress, and the racing gods, sometimes they giveth, and sometimes they taketh away. But what will they giveth to Joseph Hurlock? Is it going to be a race win for the Englishman? Will the Valley Esports driver have to settle for second, but behind his French foe, Alex Laho? Only time will tell what is going to happen over the remainder of this race. Lap 29 starts now. And it would appear, Alex, for the time being, everyone's kind of settled into the rhythm. There's no, apart from the battle that we're looking at for the lead, no one's too close to each other. Everyone's just happy running their own race as it stands. I think everyone's kind of waiting as we get into the last few laps to really start pushing. Right now, it's just kind of race management mode. You know, just hit your marks, get the lap number down.
Yeah, it's autopilot to the end of the race for some drivers, I'm sure, but for Joseph Hurlock, it's still full throttle and quite literally, as we see him almost spinning as Maggio into the pits for the second time. That's going to put him, well, he's going to keep this position, but then he's going to be fighting Sandeep Singh on the way out. Or no, Korshavin is right there, and also Vincent Gutt in front of him. Oh, wait, no, that's Sandeep Singh, my apologies, but Korshavin will be going for the move around the outside of turn 3. Not a place you'll see a lot of overtaking. Will he make it stick on the slightly older tires? But no. Maggio opens the door and swiftly closes it in his face.
Great driving by those pairs. Superb respect shown between the two rivals out on track to, you know, be able to race like that. It's not only a, you know, a display of your own ability to, you know, risk it and put it on the line, but also shows the respect you have for your opponents to be willing to race them cleanly and fairly. So great to see that from Maggio and Korshavin, two drivers who have been really standout today. Korshavin has been a bit of a quiet, dark horse, been slowly sliding and sneaking his way up the order without much of us noticing, because he's just been doing it so casually, so calmly. Not really any highlight reels to speak of for Dominic Korshavin, because it's all been so simple. You know, it's, you know, you take your eye off him for 30 seconds and then he's up another place and you don't even know what's happened. Maggio, of course, our pole sitter. You know, he's had a disappointing race for him. You know, started on the wet compounder tyre, which at the time he could get away with, but, you know, within a few laps, he was dropping big time. The conditions weren't right for it. It was intermediates or bust, so he had to come in very, very early doors for a pit stop. He's been fighting his way back through the pack ever since. Of course, we did just see him come in for what we presume is his final stop a few moments ago. As Korshavin off the road. Think he just got his braking zone wrong there. Maybe locked up a little bit. I mean, he's kept it straight and did the right thing, you know, just straight across the grass, didn't chop it back on, and, you know, didn't damage the car or anything. But yeah, just got a little bit wrong, bit of a wiggle on the rear end, and lost the car out onto the gravel. Great job to keep it pointing in a straight direction over the grass. You know, when it's raining, grass can be very, very slippery at the best of times. But yeah, that's a shame for Korshavin. That does promote Vincent Gutt up into P7. The German's day continues to improve for Spark Racing Team. But yeah, that is a big shame for Dominic Korshavin. Again, just as I was singing his praises as well, a little bit of a commentator's curse there for you. Unfortunately for the three-time Ukrainian karting vice champion and the 2021 Ukrainian national sim racing champion as well, a man with a lot of experience under his belt. It's a pleasure to have him here in GPVWC with us for the upcoming season. Lap 31 of 48. And as it stands, as we were saying earlier for a moment, Alex, it's all pretty steady away at the moment. That's not to say that it's boring, of course, but you know, it's just everyone at this point, it's just a little bit cagey. Everyone's just waiting, managing the car, managing the tyres, you know, and just kind of chopping the laps down. When we get to, you know, maybe 8 laps left to run, you know, that's when people start turning the wick up. They're just, you know, saving tyres a bit for the end here, because there are battles which could be happening, but just aren't happening. You know, you look at this, Korshavin, he's got a lot of pace on board, but he's quite happy sitting behind Vincent Gutt at the moment. You know, he doesn't feel the need to push and attack, because right now he's just thinking about getting closer to the end of the race, saving a bit of tyres, maybe saving a bit of engine as well, and then striking later on.
Well, it doesn't look like he's trying to save the engine with the amount of throttle input he's putting in on the exit of these corners. You just saw him going quite sideways, but I want to point out, Herlock is the closest he's been in the past couple of laps, and potentially we could be seeing an opportunity opening for Herlock. Both of these drivers at the front, full throttle, both figuratively and literally. But yeah, Herlock still fighting and still wanting that first position, and it's relatively equally matched for the two drivers as Foulkes comes into the pit lane for the Gallery 82 team. I wonder if he had damage or whether that's a scheduled pit stop. But other than that, like you said, not many battles up throughout the field, and a lot of people just managing, keeping their car alive, keeping their engine in a nice spot relatively, and keeping their tires in a decent condition and able to fight at the end of the race, maybe get those last couple of valuable positions that, yeah, points equals points, more points at the end of the season. So if you're consistently in the points, it's better than being out of the points, like the 7 DNFs we have today.
Yeah, points do equal more points. I think points being prizes was the one you were going for there, Alex. But yeah, no, you are absolutely right. Consistency is the aim of the game. Again, that's why I sing, the praises of guys like Alexander Ragotu, who aren't necessarily the fastest guys out on track, but their consistent points finishes is what rewards them come the end of the year. And that's what Ragotu and many others out here will be looking to continue today. Of course, this is only the first race. As it stands, there is no championship table. We haven't scored any points yet, so we'll have to wait and see. Of course, this isn't the final GPVWC race this week. Of course, in just a few days' time on Thursday, it's time for the big boys, the big guns, the top tier of GPVWC racing with the Super League. They'll be making their way out on Thursday, the 14th of March, same time as tonight. They'll be going at 7:30 GMT. The broadcast will begin. Of course, they do have a slightly longer race, and hopefully for them, they'll have slightly more pleasant conditions as well. Of course, we already had the Formula Sprint 2 and Formula Sprint 1 races, and the Academy Series kind of does whatever it does. And then, of course, next week, we're back again. The Formula Sprint guys, they'll be heading to Saudi Arabia, to the Jeddah Corniche Street Circuit. The GPVWC circus, it never stops. 2 races at least a week, either from the Formula Sprints, the Superlights, or the Super League. Of course, we'll be heading to Saudi Arabia, or virtual Saudi Arabia anyway, in 2 weeks for the Superlights, again, to the Jeddah Corniche Street Circuit on the 26th of March. Which is, I believe, on the run-up to Easter, I think, or if not, just after it. I'm not very good with dates. Anyway, looking back to the track for a moment, Herlock has really closed up to Alex Laho in the last kind of sector or so. I wonder if Laho's maybe made a mistake, or maybe Herlock started to turn the wick up a little bit. Maybe the Valley Esports drivers decided that now's the time that he wants to race. That's what I see. I mean, the gap, 0.6 of a second at the line. He's got the slipstream as well, so it is going to fall down as they come into turn 1. But Herlock, again, it looks like he has got the... Well, I mean, obviously, bear in mind, he's already on the back of Laho, but it looks like it's one of those situations where he has the pace to catch and, be right up behind Laho, basically in his gearbox. It looks like he has the pace for that, but does he have the pace to pass him? Because it is one thing to catch a driver in front, it is another thing to have the speed to get through them. And that's something that we haven't seen yet, because this gap has stayed pretty consistent at around 0.7 of a second for the majority of this race. These two guys are putting on a real display of, hitting your marks and the consistency and racing ability. I know it's not necessarily wheel-to-wheel racing, it's definitely tense. I can assure you Alex Laho is probably sweating in his bedroom in France right now, and maybe not for the reasons you're thinking of, it's because he's pushing very, very hard out there in these virtually horrendous conditions in virtual down under. Again, Herlock looks to be really, really good through the middle and last sector, or kind of the middle and the first half of the last sector. And then Laho counteracts that, coming through sector, 1 and the last part of the lap. So It's a mix of track dominance between these two drivers. A little bit of a mistake there from Herlock coming through the penultimate corner. A bit of a slide, so we'll drop a few tenths back. Gap is now up to a second, but again, he does have the slipstream, so he'll be able to close back up ever so slightly. Running a lot of curb, these guys, feeling, well, very confident, to put it mildly, shall I say. I would be avoiding those curbs with a very, very large barge pole if I was out on track, but these guys seem to have the confidence and the grip to take them. And lap 35 of 48, it is anybody's guess, Alex, who's going to win this race.
Well, it seems like Herlock started to realize that Lahu isn't going to make a mistake in P1, and he needs to push if he wants any chance of overtaking him by the end of the race, but it seems like he's making more mistakes in that effort. The gap now 1.4 seconds, but looking a bit further back, Sandeep Singh on the back of Sakura and Kurashavin sitting nicely behind Vincent Good. But this seems to be the story of the race, really. Drivers getting close and then not being able to pass them, either because they don't have the pace or just it's not very easy to pass, especially with the conditions right now. And David Wasserman into the pit lane.
Yeah, Wasserman in. Interesting. So, I wonder if he's had a problem, or maybe it was just time for a pit stop for David Wasserman. Another set of intermediates for the Chaos driver. He'll be heading back out. Should be in front of Stephen Lexo, I believe. If not Lexo, will be right behind him, or just in front of him anyway. Into the battle for P4 now. Sandeep Singh, the team boss over at Rhodes Formula, he started to turn the wick up a little bit. Previous lap was 3 tenths faster than the TTF car of Jan Sikoria in front of him, and now you can see just how close they are. Singh is getting a faceful of spray off of Sakura. And, well, if he continues to push, he could maybe be having a look for a move. Coming maybe not now into turn 1 necessarily, but up into turn 3. That could be a very, very viable option. Onto the front straight away we go. Singh in the slipstream. And Singh looking to slide past into P4 as well. Does he have a look down into turn 1? No. Doesn't even poke a nose out just to feel the mirrors. Happily stays put behind in the spray. And again, not the greatest turn 1. He's dropped back a little bit there. Although it didn't do anything wrong, Sakura was just able to carry a little bit more pace through there. So the delta between them increases ever so slightly. Singh, though, like I mentioned earlier, he said he's looking to, bring some more pace to the table in 2024. And I'd like to think he's currently doing that. He's doing a great job at the moment. Currently P5, hunting down P4 for the team's perspective as well. P1 as it stands, P4 as well. That'd be a great result for them. So, yeah, fantastic stuff for Road to Formula Racing, picking up where they left off, if you will. In the pre-season test, they did run very, very well. Sandeep Singh did set the fastest time in the final pre-season test at Fuji. He was 3 tenths quicker than Jack Mayer for Spark Racing. But, that's a pre-season test. He's told us not to look too much into it. But as it goes anyway, he's doing a mighty fine job out there at the moment. And although since we've started watching him, maybe the gap hasn't been quite what it was, although Sakura actually a little bit of a mistake there through the penultimate corner. So maybe Sandy back in with another chance. He's not going to be close enough down into turn 1. A good run through turn 1, though. Being a bit further back will help him because he's not going to suffer from as much dirty air. And that is a great run from Sandeep Singh. He's going to have to lift off the throttle. He's going to go the long way round as well. The run was so good, he almost ran into the back of Jan Sikoria, almost banging wheels through turn 3. Sikoria shoves Singh off the track, and Singh is going to have to yield. Sikoria is not playing nice, aggressive but fair defending from the TTF Racing driver. But this is great action now. Sandeep Singh, he's hungry. He wants a way through. Sikoria desperate to hold on to that. Singh will now probably back off and do a similar thing. He got a monster run through turn 2 there, Alex. If he can do the same thing and not lift off before running into the back of Sikoria in front, that is a surefire overtake there for Sandeep Singh.
Well, that's truly unfortunate, but this might be another opportunity around the outside of turn 9. This is risky in the rain, but he's going for it, and he just might about get it done, but he's backing off. onto the apex, but they're still side by side through to turn 11. And Sakura cutting him off, but the outside line is wide open, and that could be the move for P4.
Wow!
It seems like it is.
Sandeep Singh take about millimeters separating the pair of them for a fairly large section of the racetrack, and Singh sweeps around the outside into the bottom end of the circuit. That is brilliant racecraft from the team boss of Rotor Formula Racing. What can Jan Sakura do though? Can he respond? Or is it time to say, see you later, Sandeep Singh, as he streaks off into the distance? Sakura all a little bit wide out of turn 1. That's going to really hinder his chances down this second straight. Man, oh man, though, Sandeep Singh, that was fierce racing. That was brilliant racing, and Sandeep Singh comes out on top of it at the end after going side by side, sweeping round the outside. That is probably the move of the day. I think we could technically say move of the season so far, given it's only the first round. But man, that was awesome from Sandeep Singh. And I think he's got Jan Sakura under wraps now as well, because he's already nearly a second in front. And this is the point last lap where Singh drew alongside and initiated his overtake that ran from here down to the bottom end of the circuit. So Sandeep Singh then, P4 looks to be in the bag for the time being. 10 laps remaining in this race. Lap 39 of 48. Laho and Herlock still separated by less than a second. Can we see a similar thing as we've just seen between this pair? Can Herlock try some miracles, or will the Rotor Formula Frenchman hold on to take a stunning race win? We'll have to wait and see. But again, as I was saying earlier, Alex, I'm not quite sure as it stands that Herlock has the pace to do it.
Yeah, and Herlock's catching, but again, he's catching and losing that time immediately, so I think he needs to be a bit careful. But also, right now we've got traffic into the situation. Maybe they'll yield before turn 9, but that could be in Alex Lahu's way, and that could be Herlock's opportunity. But yeah, textbook defense from Jan Sakura, and if you're a new driver, that is a perfect example of what good racing looks like between those two drivers. And yeah, they should both be rather impressed with themselves. And honestly, Jan Sakura, quite aggressive, but that's how you have to defend in these conditions. And we might just be about to see that from Alex Lahu if he keeps getting held up by this lap traffic.
Potentially, time will tell. I believe if he's able to hold on for the last 10, shortly to be 9 laps, this will be Laho's first win in the Superlights category. I will just get that fact check for you, but in the few races he did last year, he had a best finish of, I believe it was 8th. So to go from that to be, when I was 7th, I do apologise. So yeah, what a jump, what an off-season Alex Laho's had. The work has clearly paid off, and although we knew the pace was there, you know, especially watching his antics in the Formula Sprint Series last season, you know, he's done a phenomenal job today. And although Maggio was the man on pole, Laho is the man who is seemingly stealing the show in that Rotor Formula car. But it's not done yet. This brilliant race still has twists and turns to throw at us, and this lap traffic could potentially cause trouble for the race leader. Will it be disaster? Will it be desperation for Herlock, or will it be glory for Laho? We'll have to wait and see. And again, there's still a few laps left to go, even once they get through this traffic as well. Looks like it's Matthew's Pijkamp who they're coming up to in the True North car. He's 3 laps down as a result of his disconnect earlier. Again, the new regulations that, well, they were there last season, but back in the day, once you were, if you were out of a race, no matter your reason, you were out, including disconnects. Nowadays, you are allowed to rejoin the race. No. If you do have a disconnect. Laho looks like a little bit of a mistake, because suddenly Joseph Herlock is very, very close, and there's the lap traffic. That's going to give Laho a bit of a slipstream down the front straight, so a bit of breathing room there for the Frenchman. But yeah, this could be interesting. They've got more traffic ahead as well. You know, Pijkamp should be moving out of the way at this point. I'm sure he'll move out of the way down into turn 1, if not definitely turn 3. You know, do the responsible thing. You know, you let the faster car through, especially if they're the race leaders. And there he does go, moving out of the way. Oh my goodness me, Joseph Herlock shooting across the racetrack. Great job to hold on to that and not find his way into the inside wall like we've seen so many drivers do today. And that, again, gives a little bit more breathing room to the race leader. Margins are everything. Millimeters separate these drivers from victory and the wall. It is so tough out there. It is so close. And these two guys are now giving it absolutely everything. And it could be anybody's guess, Alex, who's going to be on the top step of the podium at the end of the race. Traffic could still be a big issue.
It's a fight to the end, and as we're reaching the traffic now, it gets only more intense for Lahu. He's got to deal with the traffic in front of him, but he's also got to deal with the car behind him. That's going to be pressure, both to keep himself out of an incident, as we know he's relatively prone to, thanks to the amazing intro put together by Ed Hunter, which I still think did him a little bit roughly. But Herlock, yeah, on the back, and Lahu, like you said, he was working on his consistency, and it's showing. That mistake he made behind the lap traffic has only just been wished away as Lahu steps up a notch, getting that gap out to just over a second as we head around the final corner. But Lahu looks quite comfortable at this point. He's got 6 laps to go as we cross the line, and donning his race number 42. Maybe this could be the lucky lap for Joseph Herlock, and maybe Alex Lahu's unlucky number, it seems sometimes, when he's donning that 42 on the front of his car. But for now, it seems normal for him. Then there's not many battles going on at the behind Alex Lahu either. And it's mostly people just in their own worlds. And this is where the action is at between Joseph Herlock and Alex Lahu, because this battle is still going to the end.
Time will tell what is going to happen. The laps are ticking down. The road to Formula Camp probably feeling rather tense right now. Alex Lahu has had the race of his life so far. His best result in Superlights so far. He's not competed a full Superlights season 4. He's subbed in for a few races. His best result has been 7th. And he only has a handful of GPVWC wins to his name at all from Formula Sprint 2 and 1. I believe it's in the region of 6 or 7 wins over the last few years. And we know the dedication that he has. We know the amount of work that he's put in over the off-season, just spending lap after lap after lap in private testing sessions, and, you know, testing with the team and testing with his other competitors as well. And now he is potentially moments away from what will be, at this stage, the highlight of his career. I'm sure that if he's able to hold on and able to take this victory, it'll be many more fantastic things to follow for the Frenchman. But for now, he's got to be maybe feeling the pressure a little bit, or maybe is he calm in the cockpit? We know he is quite a calm chap. You know, he's fun to be around. He's a good laugh, and you know, a really nice guy. But you know, he can be quite calm. You know, and especially on a track as well. Especially when, you know, when you look at last season as well, when things weren't going his way, and he was more often than not finding the barrier, even with his, you know, fantastic pace, as Jack Mayer comes in for a fresh set of tyres moments from the end. Interesting there. So that's going to promote Sandeep Singh up. Oh, Mayer's not got a front wing. Mayer's hit the wall somewhere, hasn't he? Jack Mayer's not got a front wing. Sandeep Singh is up into P3. Now, this is the development we didn't see coming. The reigning Formula Sprint 1 champion, who's apparently got his helmet on from last year, because that says 2022 champion on when he won the FS2 championship. Oh dear, this is not good for Jack Mayer. He's going to be leaving the pit lane now. He's got a handful of laps left to go. He should still finish in the points, but that promotes Sandeep Singh onto the podium. So Rhodes Formula now looking at a double podium. And yeah, real shame for the Spark Racing driver there.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. You know, to go from P3 down to P9, that's 6 positions and already struggling out of the pit lane. That's going to hurt, especially in the first race. The first race matters for your motivation for the entire season, and hopefully it won't affect him too much. Hopefully you can move on, but yeah, it's a difficulty for these drivers in the rain, and obviously Jack Mayer finding the barrier, but not taking him out of the race, fortunately for him. But Herlock now seems to be dropping off the back of Alex Lahu. As I say, like, gains 5 tenths almost immediately. So who knows? 4 laps to go, and anything could still happen. Lahu could find the barriers, or he could keep it on the racetrack and in line and take his first win in Super League, which would be an amazing dream start to the season for Road to Formula to get a double podium on their sort of, I guess, their coronation into the Super League at this point.
I mean, Road to Formula have definitely been the team to beat the last few seasons. Again, you look at last year when, you know, Omar Gorgi frankly ran away with the championship. He was so far up the road that he didn't even turn up for the last 3 races and was still 38 points clear of Dylan Fisher come the end of the year. And, you know, on that note as well, Road to Formula finished 100 points ahead of everybody else in the championship standings in the teams championship. And, you know, you look at 2022 as well, you know, they're just a good team. They're just a good team, you know, and they employ good people, you know, 4th in 2022, 1st in 2023, and kicking off 2024 with a bang. You know, I think many people thought that they'd be making the jump up to the Super League this year, given that they were the Superlights champions last year. You know, Sandeep Singh made the call to, you know, stay put, and that is entirely fair. But, yeah, right now, it's, you know, paying off, because Alex Laho, if he keeps it on the black stuff and is able to withstand the pressure from Joseph Hurlock behind, who is seemingly fading away a little bit in the latter phases of this race, well, let's hope he can hold on. Or can Hurlock bring it back through? Who will tell over the remaining few laps? But now we sit and wait. I'm sure the tension in France is very, very high right now. We know it's a very patriotic country. And I'm sure anybody watching along from the country will be, you know, in full support. Just one thing to note, actually. You know, we've not only got a handful of laps left, but Alessandro Maggio is catching Jan Sikoria. He's not going to be able to catch him fast enough. Meanwhile, Alexander Ragoza on the back of Vincent Gutt as well. So there is battles still all throughout the field. It's not just up the front on a lap 45 or 48, soon to be 46. Can Ragoza find his way up into P6, or is he going to have to settle for 7th? We'll have to wait and see. Again, Gallery 82, I've been in the wars today. 2 incidents on the second lap for both drivers, relegated them well down the order from where they should be. Ragoza has had a fantastic comeback drive. Michel Galka not faring as much, but he did have significantly more damage, which took a lot longer to repair at the pit stop. So Ragoza has had to make the most of what he can, and he's looking and hoping to pick up some solid points there, and he's looking and hoping to pick up even more as he moves to the outside. Oh, Vincent Gutt, what can the Spark Racing Team driver do? He's going to hold the inside line. Oh, great defensive driving from Vincent Gutt. A little bit of understeer, a bit of aquaplaning as we go on board with the Polish driver, Alexander Ragoza. Is he able to find a way through Vincent Gutt in front? I am not sure if he's going to be able to be honest with you. Again, there's only a handful of laps, yes, left. Vincent Gutt is doing a stellar defensive effort. But can Ragoza maybe, just maybe, put a bit of pressure on, force a mistake up the front? Hurlock is now dropping away significantly. 2.3 seconds is now the gap. He's backing off. He just wants to bring it home. He's under no threat from behind. Laho now just has to cruise home to the line. Looking at this battle, though, it's still on. And if these guys are going to fight, maybe, just maybe, Koroshevin could get involved late on as well over the final lap or so. Maybe a 3-way fight for P6, Alex, could be on the cards.
Yeah, well, Ragoza clearly not afraid to try around the outside at turn 9 or on the inside. And yeah, he's on the back of Vincent Gutt. A lot of pressure, but a great defense so far, and not that many mistakes from either driver. Put them close together, but this battling, like you said, Koroshevin could very well get into this mix within the next lap or so as we head on to lap 47. Ragoza hopefully looking for a second chance, but he's dropping behind, and that Spark racing car does seem to have good straight line speed as he's Koroshevin now is actually catching Alexander Ragoza, and this could be the battle to the end. 3 tenths behind now through the I believe this is turn 9 and 10, but I've been told different names, and yeah, that dirty air not helping him at all. But also, it was a great run for Alexander Ragosa. Now back on the back of Vincent Gut. And yeah, this is very much a battle that's going to go to the end. And 2 laps to go. Hopefully, we'll be seeing a move anytime soon, as if Ragosa gets a good exit. This will be the move on the final laps of the race. And here he goes. He's going to have the run down to turn 1. And let's see how this goes. But that Spark Racing team does have excellent speed on the straight line. But this is three ways now to the line. This is going to be the battle to watch.
It is indeed. We've got Gut, we've got Ragosa, we've got Koroshaven separated by almost nothing. Koroshaven has a look to the inside of Ragosa. Ragosa slides slightly wide. There goes the Ukrainian. Up the inside, banging wheels. Oh, almost touching the pair of them. Koroshaven is on the wet compound tyre. Ragosa on the intermediates, and right now the wets are holding on to be better, but can Ragosa fight back? This is allowing Vincent Gut to have a bit of breathing room in front. Final lap of the race. The leaders have crossed the line. One more tour for them. These guys will still have one more lap to go. After this, yellow flag is out in sector 1. Hopefully everything is okay. It's gone as quickly as it came. This battle continues to rage on. Now the drivers look like they're split up. Maybe Koroshaven can squeeze past Vincent Gut as well. I think Ragosa in this one is out for the count in terms of this battle. Up the front though, with probably roughly half a lap to go, Alex Laho, the performance of his life so far is merely moments away. The Frenchman has been imperious today. He missed out on pole at the death by 0.2 of a second. Managed to slide back through into the lead with a very, very gutsy move down into turn 1 and turn 2. And it's been like this the whole way ever since. A lot of work went into the off-season for this man. And it is clearly paid off. And everyone was wondering why Road to Formula would gamble on such an inconsistent driver. This is why they gamble. Let La Marseillaise blare through Melbourne. Alex Laho, for the first time, is a race winner in GPVWC Superlights. What a performance from the Frenchman. Unbelievable way to start off the season. Joseph Herlock, try as he might, was not able to get through, but will hold on for a very respectable second. The two drivers in formation bidding each other congratulations. But today, it goes to Alex Laho, and he can bask in all of the glory that comes from being a first-time Superlights race winner. And if you didn't take Alex Laho seriously before, it's time to start taking him seriously now. He wins the first race of the season in Melbourne in GPVWC Superlights. Sandeep Singh, team boss over at Road to Formula, he's going to finish in P3 as he comes to line. A fantastic result for the Road to Formula boys. A 1-3 double podium. That is excellent stuff, and hopefully we'll be able to grab them for an interview afterwards. They're normally up for a chat. Brilliant from them. But Alex Laho, wow, what a performance. This has got to be an amazing feeling for him. A well-deserved victory as Jan Sikora finishes 4th. Alex Laho is a race winner in Superlights.
Very impressive. For Laho, he struggled last season in FS1, but now here for redemption in Superlights, and it seems he's got it on the first race. Very well done to him. And yeah, fierce battle until the end, but he prevails. And Herlock practically on Laho the entire length of the race, never sort of giving up pressure, but Laho crumples, and that work on consistency is paying off, and he's just showboating now, really, isn't he?
Now, you would showboat, wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You know, that's a well-deserved victory there for Alex Laho. As it stands, that is the high point of his GPVWC career so far, and we've seen how much he's improved in the off-season. We know there's a really promising driver, and well, he has shown us something today. What a great drive from Alex Laho to take victory in the opening round of the GPVWC Superlight season here in Melbourne. Just brilliant brilliant racing. And it was lights to flag as well. Well, not quite lights to flag, 'cause he didn't have pole, but the second he got the lead, he didn't look back either. Phenomenal drive from everybody. It is Alex Laho doing donuts in the pit lane. Very, very smooth there. He takes victory with Joseph Hurlock and Sandeep Singh rounding out our podium. Jans Kura was P4 with Alessandro Mangio in P5. Kurashavan was P6, a great performance from him with Alexander Ragota, fantastic comeback drive into P7. Vincent Gutt, Jack Mayer and Stephen Lexau, who hopefully we'll speak to in a moment, were 8th, 9th and P10. Further down the order, David Wasserman was P11 with Thomas Kutka in 12th. Tom van der Voort was 13th with Michel Galka in P14. Florian Guy was 15th with Maxime Bulio in P16. Mateusz Pishkam, well, after his unfortunate DNF, he was the last of our runners in P17th. And we lost a fair few drivers as well. Masaj Hyla, Pergis Miram, Remco Deju, all of them being lost from the race. And in the 4 we lost in the opening lap, Cedric Bill, Davide Zanini, Jan Dragoon and Chris Gitsov all ended their opening round early. Well, Alex, we've had a fantastic day of racing here then. Before we go to the interviews, who was your standout star today?
Well, it's hard not to credit Alex Lahu for his excellent drive, but I do have to say there was a lot of good fights throughout the field, and it's really hard, apart from Alex Lahu, to pin it on anyone else, but I would have to say that it was just an excellent race all round from just about everyone, apart from the instance at the start of the race. It was truly impressive to watch.
Well, it was indeed. Time then to head over to our interviews. And first off, it only seems fitting to interview our race winner, Alex Laho. For the first time, you are a GPVWC Superlights race winner. That has got to feel pretty good.
Hell yeah, man. Hi, guys. What can I say? First win of the year, first win in Superlights. In a rain race as well. What can I expect more?
I mean, it was a phenomenal drive. Talk us through what was running through your head. The second you got into the lead, you didn't look back, and although you were facing pressure all throughout the entire race, was it all calm and collected? Were you maybe a little bit nervous at some points, or did you think, I've got this, just got to keep driving, and at the end, I'm going to be on top of the podium?
Well, I mean, in terms of pace, Joseph was quicker than me, and I knew it. All I had to do was not make a single mistake because the dirty air was enough to keep him just behind, and he had much more strength and speed than I did. So one mistake and it would have been all over on the straight line. Yeah, phenomenal job to him. Congrats to you, Joseph. That was a nice race, but yeah, mentally I wasn't thinking of anything, more like stressed and fully focused. But because if I made one mistake, that would have been the end of the run for P1.
Well, it was a phenomenal race, as I said, and you did a great job. We're gonna drag your team boss Sandeep Singh over into the commentary box as well, so we can have a chat with him as well. Sandeep, if you can hear us, I mean, a double podium, first race of the season, yourself third, Alex with his first win in Superlights as well. I mean, Alex is obviously delighted. You've got to be pretty happy with that one as well.
Yeah, I'm happy so far. When I first announced Alex as my teammate this year, or there was a lot of people saying that's a risky one. He's gonna crash or whatever. But so far, he's only crashed in testing, not in the main event. And yeah, it could have been a better start for him.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing that early. As you said, a lot of people kind of. Going, really, Alex Laho in the road to Formula Car? Are you sure? But, Alex, we've seen the work that you've put in on the off season. It's clearly paid off. You seem, you guys as a team and, as drivers as well, you seem more confident than ever. You seem as strong as you've ever been. I assume the goal for both of you is to, take home the team's title, but I assume you both want to be challenging for the driver's title as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm doing two things at once, so sorry if I'm a little bit carried away. I'm so drained. I had to focus for so long. Yeah,
fine, crack open the champagne and all of that. You very much deserve it.
I need a beer.
Whatever works, my friend. Whatever works. Well, we'll go to Sandeep for one last question for you guys. before we send you on your way to enjoy the celebrations. But Sandeep, you've had a pretty strong race there yourself. Just talking about your own performance, wound up with a podium, which maybe a little bit more luck given the the DNFs that were coming through and the mistakes that other people were making. But were you happy with yourself? You can go. The result was still very, very strong. You still put in a great race. Definitely overtake of the season so far as well. So shout out for that one. How you feeling about your own race?
I mean, no surprise overtake of the season. It's only the first race, but I mean the dry pace felt really good. It's a shame. It was a wet race. We didn't really prep for it. We went 2 different ways on what we did. I kind of stuck to my dry setup, hoping it might dry out in the end, and never happened. I mean, the car felt fine. It was a bit inconsistent. Some laps I was able to match Alex and the leaders, and some other laps like just braking just wasn't there. It just sometimes kept going too deep or whatever. But I mean, yeah, P3, I can't really complain. It's a decent start to the season. We're top of the team's title, and others made errors today, I believe. I don't know. I haven't looked in the race. I was I know something happened to Jack. I know Magis had the wrong tires, and I saw Ragusa about his front wing, and that's about it. I don't know what else happened around me. It was just hard to follow in the spray. It was quite difficult to see for some of the apexes, but yeah, I mean, yes, decent start. Don't know what else to say. I mean, I did like the Inters, by the way. They're much improved now compared to last year or a year before. They actually don't really fall away in the stint anymore.
Oh, that's good. No, because me and Alex in the commentary box, we were discussing, because again, we didn't really have any idea what was going on with all the tyres and stuff, especially because, wet first race. So good to hear some good feedback on the tyres as well. That's very useful for us and everyone watching at home. Thank you for joining us, Alex and Sandeep. Again, congratulations to both of you for a fantastic result and a perfect way to start the season for you guys. So well done, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was P3 Sandeep Singh and your first time Superlights race winner, Alex Laho. Right, Alex, I'll let you pick, who we interview next. You can have the next interview because, you kind of sat there in silence for that one. So take your pick out of who's there and, give it a go.
Well, to be honest, I kind of want to have a look at Jan, who was, I don't know, it was an interesting race for him, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, we'll drag Jan in, and I'll let you ask the questions as well. Jan Sikora, everyone, if he can hear us.
Hello, Jan. That was a pretty nice race for you all around. How did you find the rain?
I didn't like it, to be honest. I was practicing a lot. I was really looking forward to the season. So I wasn't competing the whole season last year. And I definitely wanted to take TTF team to the top positions. And I believe we had a great pace on dry conditions. But yeah, then before the quali, it was starting to rain, so I was a little bit sad. But I need to thank Jaroslav Hayek, my engineer, who told me for the last quali lap to take interest and try it, and it was absolutely perfect. We could start on P4, which was great, and I knew it was going to be a long race. Just to stay on the black stuff, and don't make mistake. But yeah, we did a mistake with the first pit stop because I was slowing down, losing pace, and I thought that it is due to tires, but yeah, it was just more water on the truck. So I tried to extend second stint, which was good. If we did pit for second time, we would only lose. So we gained a lot with one pit, and yeah, it was really tough on that quarter. So I'm really glad to take P4 at the end.
And Davide, at the start of the race, retired. Do you know anything about that? Do you know what happened? Is there anything you can tell us from your side?
I really don't know. We were separated during the race, so this is the first time I hear it. So
Okay. Thank you, Jan.
me too.
And yeah, that's Jan Sakura. And yeah, I don't know if we want to do one more, Ross.
Well, we got to do a few more because there's a few people in here I do really want to speak to be honest. I think we'll have Stephen Lexow next because he's been sat in the waiting room for a while. Stephen, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Well, Stephen, welcome back to GPVWC. That's not a bad performance at all in your first race back. How are you feeling about it all?
A little bit rusty, to be honest. It's been 1.5 years now, and yeah, the first time in the wet with these cars. I was away for 1.5 years, but some things just stay the same. My game was bugged. I couldn't change anything in my pit menu, and as I started on the wets, I couldn't change them for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was a real shame that you had that problem, but you know, looking aside that, you were able to deal with it pretty well, and you know, like I said, even if there was a bit of rust in there was still a strong performance. So and a difficult race as well to be, you know, come back in what is a very difficult car to drive in very tricky conditions. I assume, you know, the next couple of races then is just kind of getting back into the groove, getting back into the rhythm, and you know, kind of working your way back up there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with finishing in the points. That's the objective for the rest of the season. My main competitive years are over. I'm, yeah, in retirement mode basically, and as long as I finish in the points, I'm pretty happy.
Well, that is great to hear from you. Looking forward to the next round in Saudi Arabia. How do you feel about that one? A big track coming up very, very fast. Again, maybe not. You've kind of been thrown in at the deep end. Like you said, 1.5 years away, and then you've got a wet Australian race, and then to one of the trickiest circuits on the calendar. How do you think you're going to fare there?
I can say that I struggled there in the F1 games by Codemasters, but I don't think that's a fair comparison. It's definitely going to take some time to get used to an R factor, and with these new cars, new tires, some of the guys have some more information about the cars. It's, I guess, pretty much the same as last year, and I didn't drive a centimeter with these cars last year, so it's still a bit of catch up.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Stephen, and yeah, great to see you back with us here at GPVWC.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Stephen Lexow there. We are very much running out of time, but I do really quickly want to speak to Vincent Gutt and Florian Gaia as well. We'll start with Vincent. You know, unfortunately, Vince, we're a bit pushed for time, so it's going to be a quick interview, but, you know, solid performance out there today for the team. A big shame of what happened to Jack at the end, but you've got to be happy overall and with your own performance as well.
The 5th wet race for me in Superlights out of 6 races I attended. So that's not nice. Yeah. The heavy rain at the end was a bit annoying because I was on one stop and just pitted for new inters, and then it started raining more, and the heavy wets were the better tire. It was quite clear. You saw that at Koroshavin. He closed the gap and overtook me. So yeah, I thought about pitting for wets as well, but yeah, I thought the gaps are fine, and only if the others pit, if the other people around me pit, it might be a problem. But yeah. Anyway, P8 is good. And Jack, yeah, I just checked what happened. I had exactly the same happened to me on the final lap when I wanted to stay in front of Rugosa. It's a carbon copy, but for him it was a bit earlier, and he lost his wing, unfortunately. Yeah, it was tricky there.
That's a big shame there. You know, he was maybe looking for a podium on the cards as well, which obviously would have been spectacular for both him and the team. So, you know, I guess, you know, looking what we can take from the performance today is that, you know, Spark Racing, you're looking pretty comfortable this season. You look like you could be challenging for podiums throughout the year. Is that the aim of the game?
Yeah, for sure. Especially for Jack. I mean, I'm slower than him, but yeah, we are aiming for that. We are aiming for top 3 spot in the end. Yeah.
That is great to hear. Thank you very much for joining us, Vincent, and a great job out there for the team.
Thank you.
And one last quick interview. I do want to grab Florian Gaia in as well. Florian, if you can hear us. Well, it's been a long time since you've been in a Superlights race. And a bit of a trial by fire on your return to the series. Very tricky conditions out there. How are you feeling after that one?
I've never been in a Superlights race.
Oh no, of course. Well, it's a long time since you've been in the second tier, should I say?
Okay, that's like 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years, yeah. Yeah, it was a bit of a shame, to be honest. I mean, we didn't really check the weather at all. So when it started to rain, or we went on the server and it rained, it was a bit like, okay, well, let's just do a few laps and see how it feels. But like, I think some of our competitors, like, they adjusted the downforce levels and we didn't, so we stuck with our dry setup. And it may have cost a bit of performance. But in the end, I'm probably just glad that we both finished in the points. Like, I was so far off the pace. I could have driven probably with a Super League car and would have still been last. So
don't be too hard on yourself, Florian.
Nah, it's like I said last year on the Super League podcast. Like, I don't want to have an excuse, but my health issues, like, it's not gonna get any better. So yeah, it is what it is. But I would have preferred a dry race, just to see have a bit better understanding where we are with our dry pace, which I think was a lot better than what we showed in the wet. But it's the same for everyone. And in the end, I'm just glad we got the double points on our debut.
Yeah, absolutely. Double points for the team is great to hear. And next time off to Saudi Arabia, if it's raining there, then there's been something gone very, very wrong, isn't it? Well, unfortunately, we're really pushed for time.
Well, maybe a sandstorm.
Yeah, let's hope not. Hey, unfortunately, we are really pushed for time, Florence. I'm going to have to let you go. I'm sorry for the short interview, but thank you very much for talking to us, and it's great to see you in our Superlights.
No, thanks for having me, man. And next time we do a longer one.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Florian. That was Florian Gaia, our last interview of today, stepping down into Superlights after 10 years in Super Leagues. And that is all we've got time for. Well then, Alex Foulkes, that was a brilliant race to start off the Superlights season. And, looks like we are going to be in for one fantastic year of racing.
As always. Yep. And that's Superlights for you. It's going to go anyway, but hopefully it's going to continue this way where the battles are close at the front and throughout the entire field. And hopefully all we can say is that this is going to be a good season.
Oh, it absolutely is. Thank you very, very much for joining us for the opening race of the 2024 GPVWC Super Light season. Of course, there's still more GPVWC to come this week on Thursday at 7:30. It's the Super League race in Australia. But in 2 weeks' time, we'll be back in Saudi Arabia. So until then, take care.